I went to the wedding of a younger coworker. During the event, the bride made a rude comment about how people who are less educated and poor should cut ties with my husband. She looked down on me because I dropped out of school. Instead of stopping her, my coworker, the groom, joined in and mocked me too. At that moment, I decided to cut them out of my life and reach out to someone else. I promised myself that I would make them regret judging people just based on their education. My name is Gwin, and I'm 32 years old. I grew up in a middle-class family, neither rich nor poor, as the only son of working parents. Unlike most of my classmates who were focused on high school, I was busy looking for a job. Both of my parents went to college, but I was eager to start working as soon as I could. At first, they were confused, but later they supported my choice, saying it was my life to live. I started working as a factory laborer in my hometown, then I became a painting contractor site supervisor. Now, I've been working at a large machinery company for 7 years. I'm the service department manager, which means I visit clients to help install, repair, and maintain machinery. Today, I have more repair and maintenance visits to make. As I drive toward the freeway in my company car, my work phone rings. Seeing the company name on the screen makes me feel a bit stressed. I pull over and call back immediately, only to find out that it's another complaint from a client. I apologize and tell them I'll be there right away. I bow my head in apology, even though the caller can't see me. Now, I have to rearrange my schedule to deal with this complaint first. It looks like it's going to be a long day. After 7 p.m., I return to the office and see Theodore from my service department already back and chatting happily with a colleague from sales. I say, "I'm back." Theodore quickly goes to his seat and starts working on his computer. Each branch office has a small team, and in this branch, it's just Theodore, who is 2 years younger than me, and me in the service department. "Hey, Theodore, do you have a minute? What is it?" I could hear the irritation in his voice. "We got a complaint from one of your clients this morning. I would fix it myself, but we both need to go tomorrow to apologize." "Why did you leave it unattended for 2 days? I had plans both days. The CEO over there is always bossing me around. Maybe they should rethink how they treat me." As usual, Theodore just gave excuses and complained about the client. "I'm going to report this to the area manager." I had to step in and fix a client's issue. Of course, I have to report it. Theodore, without any remorse, scoffed and said, "So you're reporting on me again just because you're jealous of my education? You exaggerate things in your reports." He thinks I'm jealous of him because I dropped out of college. I graduated from a prestigious university. Theodore used to be polite and humble, but once he found out I was a dropout, his attitude changed completely. I wouldn't mind if he did his job right, but there are too many complaints from his clients, and it's a headache. The next day, we both went to the client to apologize. The client's president was aggressive and said, "What are you doing here? Your job is to fix this." I'm used to people being tough in industrial settings, but Theodore, who has no field experience, just stood there in silence. After I calmed the angry client down and talked about future improvements, Theodore finally mumbled a soft, "I'm sorry." I thought he would feel bad about it, but I was wrong. He said, "Why are field workers so uncivilized?" Instead of feeling sorry, Theodore started bashing the client. "That CEO shows how uneducated he is with the way he talks." It was embarrassing to watch. Who made a client that angry? Maybe you should reflect on your work. But my words fell on deaf ears. He replied, "You're just out of touch because you've worked in those environments. Even so, if you're going to be in this line of work, you need to get used to it," Theodore said with a mocking laugh. "What are you talking about? I only took this job to learn some mechanical skills. I don't plan on staying here," he replied. Usually, people like Theodore would work in service for 2 years before moving to sales, but he has been here for 3 years. No one would promote someone with so many complaints to a sales position. He genuinely believes the bad reports are because I'm jealous of him. If that's true, then he should focus on getting better at his service job and show some sincerity to the client. But with his bad attitude, there's no sincerity to talk about. It wouldn't bother me as much if he was at my professional level. I couldn't bring myself to say another word to him. One day, I went on a business trip to set up some machinery. The test run didn't go well because of some glitches, so I had to stay overnight to fix it. The next day, our branch had limited staff, so other local branches would help out with major tasks. While I was looking for a place to eat near the hotel, someone called out to me. "Hey, what are you up to?" I turned around to see Theodore with a woman on his arm. "Oh hey, Theodore." "Good evening," I said, greeting the woman beside him and offering my hand for a handshake. She accepted but didn't say anything. "This is my girlfriend, Selena. She's from around here," Theodore introduced her. I felt like I had seen her somewhere before but didn't think much of it. Theodore then invited me to dinner, and I accepted. After we ordered, Theodore started to brag, "Actually, we just got engaged. She graduated from the same college as me, and her family is pretty wealthy here. She's definitely on a fast track to success." That explained why he wanted to invite me to dinner. He wanted to show off his fiancée. As for Selena, she barely acknowledged me, not making eye contact and only nodding occasionally at Theodore. Dinner ended with Theodore dominating the conversation. When it was time to leave, Theodore excused himself to go to the restroom, leaving me alone with Selena. She broke the silence by saying, "I've heard quite a bit about you from Theodore." Her eyes locked onto mine with a cold stare. I could tell Theodore had been badmouthing me. "You think your managerial role is a big deal, just because you've been at the company a few years longer? Could you please stop blocking Theodore's career?" she said. I knew that the manager position is something anyone can achieve with enough years of service and good performance evaluations. In our situation, the area manager is in charge, and I'm just a senior colleague, which is true. Deciding it was pointless to argue, I let it go. Soon, Theodore returned. Avoiding eye contact and pretending nothing had happened, as I was leaving, I asked him about work for the next day, and he said he'd be helping out at another branch. Something felt off, but I didn't say anything since she was there. The next day, I went to troubleshoot a test run as planned, but Theodore never showed up. I felt uneasy, so I discreetly asked the area manager to look into Theodore's business trip application. It turned out that on the day I met Theodore and his girlfriend, they were supposed to be on a business trip that involved an overnight stay. This was clearly a false claim. The area manager said they would handle the rest, so I left it to them. Later, the date for Theodore and his girlfriend's wedding was set. I wasn't invited, and I felt relieved. However, a week before the ceremony, the area manager asked me to attend in their place. They were supposed to give the main speech but couldn't make it, so they asked me to do it. At first, I declined but then accepted when they insisted. On the wedding day, I arrived early and ran into Theodore and his girlfriend on my way to the waiting room. They looked surprised to see me. "You know, my elite friends and I all have degrees from prestigious universities and work in top-tier companies. I didn't think someone who dropped out would fit in, so we didn't invite you," Theodore scoffed. I replied, "I was asked to speak on behalf of the area manager, who will be late once they arrive." "I'm leaving," I replied. The color drained from their faces. "Are you trying to embarrass me by having a dropout give a speech? If the area manager can make it, there's no need for a speech. Leave now," Theodore commanded. "Cut ties with my husband, you uneducated poor thing," his girlfriend added. They both laughed loudly and walked into the waiting room, leaving me stunned. A new emotion welled up in me, and my whole body started to tremble. If they wanted to sever ties, then so be it. I stayed under the radar and waited for my turn to speak. Finally, it was my turn. I took a deep breath and stepped up to the mic. Even though Theodore and his girlfriend glared at me, urging me to leave, I started my speech. "Congratulations on your wedding. If you thought I'd stick to the usual pleasantries, you're mistaken. Theodore isn't exactly commendable in his job, but since this is a celebratory occasion, I'll use only the highest praises. Top-tier graduate Theodore, you are exceptional at accumulating customer complaints at work. Your unrepentant and arrogant behavior, always blaming our clients, really shows your thick skin. I'm always impressed." "Stop it." Theodore's girlfriend stood up beside a flustered Theodore and shouted, "You're supposed to cut ties with Theodore, quit bullying him." The room started buzzing, but I continued my speech. "All I can say is Theodore is quite the trickster. He's been lying about business trips to hang out with her and claiming expenses for it. That's pretty bold and clear embezzlement. Hey, Cut it out. You're making this up, Theodore shouted, red-faced, and started coming towards me. His girlfriend also stood up and screamed, "What's your evidence for all of this? Are you insane?" The room descended into chaos, prompting the MC to nervously ask me to stop. I thought maybe this was as far as it would go. At that moment, the door swung open with a bang. The area manager and the president of the client company entered the now silent room. Theodore's girlfriend went pale when she saw the president heading straight for the bride and groom's table. "So, you're lying about wanting to quit your job to marry me? Was that a lie?" the president asked. It turned out she had been working as a hostess at the club. I recognized her because I was once told at the club that she was the one supposed to marry Theodore. I had contacted the area manager to bring the president after realizing her true identity. "I lent you money to quit your job and pay off your debt, then you disappeared and planned to marry someone else." She couldn't come up with any excuses when faced with the calm president. Even Theodore didn't know about her working in the hostess club. Theodore stormed back to his girlfriend and confronted her. "What is going on?" he demanded. She snapped back, "You act all elite, but you're a no-good criminal, even worse than a dropout. That dropout is just jealous of me. It's all lies." The area manager quietly stepped in front of the shouting Theodore. "We have evidence of your actions, and we'll be reporting them to headquarters. You will be suspended until a decision is made." Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Theodore's face turned ashen. The president then said to her, "We'll be speaking through lawyers from now on." The once defiant woman broke down in tears. The MC wisely suspended the ceremony, and the guests were asked to leave. I left the scene with the area manager and the president. Rumor had it that Theodore and his girlfriend had planned to get their marriage certificate after the ceremony, but now that was off. Both families blamed each other and fought over the wedding costs. Theodore was fired for misconduct, and they were calculating the exact amount he had embezzled for restitution. The only downside was that the area manager also received a pay cut for poorly supervising his subordinates. Theodore had scheduled his business trips to coincide with major tasks, like machinery installations, and the area manager had approved these trips. As for the woman, she was facing fraud charges from the CEO for her fake marriage and would likely be tied up in court for a while. Of course, I cut ties with Theodore and haven't spoken to him since that day. As for me, I'm just going to continue living my life with my head held high.
I stared at my reflection in the mirror, adjusting my blazer for the 100th time while my daughter Sasha twirled around the bathroom in her princess dress. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, prepping for the biggest interview of my career, and my usually reliable babysitter had just texted to cancel. Single mom life at its finest. "Mommy, can I wear this to Aunt Livia's?" Sasha asked, her big brown eyes sparkling with hope. "Of course, sweetie." I smiled, though my stomach was in knots. I'm Violet, and at 32, I've learned that sometimes the universe forces you to make choices you'd rather avoid. Like calling my younger sister Livia for help. The doorbell chimed, and Sasha raced to answer it. "Aunt Livia!" "There's my favorite niece." Livia's voice carried that familiar sugar-sweet tone that always set my teeth on edge. She swept in wearing designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Thanks for doing this on such short notice," I said, gathering my interview materials. "I really appreciate it." "Oh, please." Livia waved her hand dismissively. "What are sisters for? Besides, Mom would kill me if I didn't help out her only grandchild." I bit back a response about how she'd canceled on us 3 times before. "Sasha's already had breakfast. There's lunch in the fridge, and emergency numbers are on the—" "Violet, relax," Livia interrupted, dropping her expensive handbag on my worn couch. "I've got this. It's not rocket science." "Right." I knelt down to hug Sasha. "Be good for Aunt Livia, okay? Mommy will be back before dinner." "Can we play dress up?" Sasha asked Livia, clutching her aunt's designer jeans. "Sure, sweetie. We'll have so much fun." Livia's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I hesitated at the door, my hand lingering on the knob. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. "Oh, and Livia? Please don't leave the apartment. Sasha's been fighting a cold." "God, you're such a worrywart," Livia laughed. "We'll be fine. Go ace that interview." As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. It was Todd, my best friend and voice of reason. "You actually left Sasha with Livia?" His disbelief crackled through the speaker. "I didn't have a choice," I said, starting the engine. "Besides, she's family." "Yeah, the same family that borrowed your prom dress and returned it with wine stains. The same sister who—" I know. I cut him off. "But she's changed. Mom says she's really grown up since getting that job at the gallery." Todd snorted. "Your mom still thinks Livia's finger painting should be in the Louvre. It's just for a few hours," I insisted, pulling onto the highway. "What's the worst that could happen?" "With Livia? Do you want that list alphabetically or chronologically?" I laughed despite my anxiety. "I've got to focus on this interview. The promotion would mean everything. Better hours, better pay, maybe even a house with a yard for Sasha." "Just be careful," Todd said. "And call me after?" I promised I would, and hung up, trying to push away the nagging doubt in my gut. Through my rearview mirror, I could see my apartment building shrinking in the distance. The last thing I noticed was Livia's face at my living room window, phone pressed to her ear, watching me drive away. My keys felt heavy in my hand as I dropped them into my purse. The emergency cash I kept hidden in my bedroom drawer flashed through my mind. $2,000 saved over countless overtime shifts. But this was Livia, my little sister, the golden child who could do no wrong, at least in our parents' eyes. Still, as I merged onto the interstate, I couldn't shake the memory of last Christmas, when Mom's antique bracelet went missing during Livia's visit. Or the time my credit card showed mysterious charges after I'd let her crash on my couch for a weekend. Everyone had brushed it off. Mom said I was being paranoid. Dad suggested I was just jealous of Livia's success. But as I pulled into the parking lot of the office building where my interview awaited, I sent up a silent prayer that I was wrong about the unease churning in my stomach. That for once, Livia would prove everyone right about her being the perfect, responsible sister she pretended to be. If only I'd known then what was happening back at my apartment, I would have turned that car around so fast. But hindsight, as they say, is 20/20, and some lessons you have to learn the hard way. The interview had gone perfectly. I practically floated up the stairs to my apartment, already imagining how I'd celebrate with Sasha. Maybe ice cream or that new Disney movie she'd been begging to see. But the moment I opened my door, my heart stopped. "Sasha," my voice echoed through the eerily quiet apartment. "Livia?" A small sniffle came from the direction of Sasha's room. I found her curled up on her bed, still in her princess dress, now stained with what looked like chocolate ice cream. "Baby, what's wrong? Where's Aunt Livia?" "She left," Sasha whispered, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "A long time ago. She said she'd be right back, but—" The room spun. "She left you alone? For how long?" "After lunch. Her friend called, and she said she had to go shopping." Sasha's lower lip trembled. "I was scared, Mommy." I pulled her into my arms, fury building in my chest. "It's okay, baby. You're safe now. Did you eat dinner?" She shook her head. I didn't want to use the stove by myself. My 5-year-old had more sense than my 28-year-old sister. I kissed Sasha's forehead and tried to keep my voice steady. "Let's get you something to eat." And then, the words died in my throat as I walked into the living room. Really looked at it this time. My laptop was missing from the coffee table. The vintage vase Mom had given me for my birthday. Gone. With trembling hands, I rushed to my bedroom. The dresser drawer was open, the false bottom displaced. My emergency cash was gone. No. I yanked open my jewelry box. Empty. Even the pearl necklace Grandma had left me. My phone buzzed. A text from Livia. "Sorry, sis. Had an emergency. Hope the interview went well." I called her immediately. Straight to voicemail. "You've reached Livia. Leave some love." "Where the hell are you?" I snarled into the phone. You left my daughter alone? And you stole from me? Answer your damn phone. I called Todd next, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. She did what? His voice cracked with disbelief. I can't even. I was hyperventilating. She left Sasha alone for hours. Hours, Todd, and she took everything. I'm coming over. Have you called the police? Not yet. God, what will Mom and Dad say? Screw what they say. This isn't about their precious golden child anymore. She left a 5-year-old alone and robbed you blind. Call the cops. Now. After hanging up, I found Sasha in the kitchen, attempting to make a sandwich. My heart broke all over again. Baby, I'm so sorry, I whispered, taking over sandwich duty. This is all my fault. Is Aunt Livia in trouble? Yes, sweetie. Big trouble. As if on cue, something crinkled under my foot. A receipt, partially hidden under the fridge. I picked it up. Nordstrom, time-stamped 3 hours ago. Over $2,000 in purchases. Exactly the amount from my emergency fund. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Violet, why are you calling your sister's phone nonstop? She just told me she had to leave Sasha with you early because of food poisoning. Poor thing's been sick all afternoon. The sandwich knife clattered into the sink. What? She's resting at our house now. Really, Violet, you should be more understanding. She did you a favor? A favor? I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Mom, she abandoned my daughter. Alone. For hours. And she stole from me. Silence. Then, don't be ridiculous. Livia would never. Check her shopping bags, Mom. The ones she probably brought over. Check the timestamps on the receipts. Better yet, ask her where she got the money for her shopping spree. You're just jealous, Mom snapped. You've always been jealous of your sister's success. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding. I hung up. Sasha was watching me with wide eyes, her sandwich forgotten. Mommy, are you crying? I touched my cheek. Sure enough, it was wet. But these weren't sad tears anymore. They were angry ones. My phone buzzed one final time. A social media notification. Livia had just posted a photo of herself at some rooftop bar, sporting a new designer outfit, tagged with, "Treating myself, blessed life." That's when I remembered the security camera I'd installed last month, after a string of break-ins in the building. The one pointed right at my living room, recording 24/7 to my cloud storage. Todd? I called him back, my voice steel-edged. Before you come over, I need you to stop and get me a USB drive. A big one. I've got some footage to download. The golden child's reign was about to end, and I was going to be the one holding the match that burned her crown. Todd arrived 30 minutes later, finding me at my kitchen table with my backup laptop. Sasha finally asleep in her room after the emotional day. He placed a USB drive and a pint of ice cream in front of me. Thought you might need both, he said, pulling up a chair. I filed the police report, I said, logging into my cloud storage. But we both know how this will play out. Mom and Dad will defend her, probably offer to pay me back themselves, and Livia will cry her way out of consequences. Again. Unless, Todd gestured to my laptop, unless I have proof. I clicked on today's footage. Concrete, undeniable proof. The security camera's view filled the screen. There was Livia, checking her phone the moment I left. She made a call immediately. Hey, babe. Her voice crackled through the speakers. She's gone. Yeah. I know where she keeps it. No, the kid won't be a problem. Todd's hand clenched into a fist. Jesus. We watched as Livia rummaged through my bedroom, emerging triumphant with the cash. She stuffed it into her designer purse, then systematically went through the apartment, collecting my valuables. Aunt Livia? Sasha's voice came through clearly. I'm hungry. Here's some money, sweetie. Order a pizza. Livia tossed a 20 on the table, out of Sasha's reach. But Mommy says I'm not supposed to answer the door when... Then make a sandwich or something. I've got to run. Don't tell your mom, okay? It'll be our little secret. The footage showed Livia leaving, the door clicking behind her. Sasha stood in the middle of the living room, looking lost. I'm going to be sick, I muttered. Keep watching, Todd said grimly. 3 hours of footage showed Sasha trying to entertain herself, getting increasingly anxious as time passed. She tried calling Livia multiple times from the landline. No answer. I've seen enough. I stopped the playback, my hands trembling with rage. My phone lit up with a text from Khalil, my former colleague. Hey, heard about the interview. Drinks to celebrate? Can you come over instead? I texted back. Need your expertise on something. Khalil arrived 20 minutes later, his IT background proving invaluable as he helped me download and format the footage. We should make copies, he suggested, his fingers flying over the keyboard. Multiple formats, stored in different places. Cloud backup, USB drives, everything. You think she'll try to delete it? If she's smart. He glanced at me. But from what you've told me, she's not used to covering her tracks. She's used to getting away with things. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Violet, this has gone too far, he started without preamble. Your mother is beside herself. Livia's crying her eyes out. Is she? I cut in. Is she crying about abandoning her niece? About stealing from her sister? Or is she crying because she finally got caught? She says she had an emergency. Put her on the phone. A pause, then Livia's voice, trembling perfectly. Vi, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be gone so long. I got sick, and then my phone died. Save it. I watched Khalil give me a thumbs up as he finished backing up the footage. How was the rooftop bar, Livia? Must have been fun, spending my emergency fund on cocktails. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Check your Instagram. Or should I do it for you? Show Mom and Dad the timestamps? Better yet, should I show them the security footage of you robbing me blind and abandoning my daughter? Silence. That's right, sis. Every moment. In high definition. With audio. You were recording me? Her voice turned sharp, indignant. That's illegal. Actually, Khalil called out, loud enough for her to hear. Security cameras in private residences are perfectly legal in this state, especially when there's clear signage in the building entrance. More silence. Then Dad's voice returned. Violet, let's discuss this as a family. Come over tomorrow. We can sort this out. Sure, I said, surprising them both. Family meeting sounds perfect. I'll bring snacks. Maybe we can watch a movie together. I hung up before they could respond. You're really going to show them? Todd asked. Every second. I closed my laptop. They want to keep pretending she's perfect? Fine. Let them watch their perfect daughter in action. Khalil handed me a USB drive. It's all backed up. But Violet, are you sure about this? Family drama like this? Once it's out there? She left my daughter alone, I said quietly. Scared and hungry. She stole the money I saved for emergencies. For Sasha's emergencies. She's not getting away with it this time. I looked at the USB drive in my hand, thinking of all the times I'd stayed quiet. All the times I'd let Livia's behavior slide to keep the peace. Tomorrow, I said, the golden child loses her shine. Todd and Khalil exchanged glances, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt powerful. In control. Let them all see who Livia really was. Let them try to explain this away. The truth was about to have its day. The next morning I dropped Sasha at her friend Emma's house for a playdate. No way was I exposing her to the incoming family drama. As I pulled into my parents' driveway, Khalil's car was already there. Moral support, he said, falling into step beside me. Plus, I figured they might need someone to explain the technical aspects of the footage. You know, in case they try to claim it's fake. My hand tightened around the USB drive in my pocket. They would try that, wouldn't they? Before I could ring the doorbell, Mom threw the door open. Her face was pinched with worry, but her voice was pure steel. "Violet, I hope you're ready to apologize to your sister." "Oh, I'm ready for something all right." I walked past her into the living room. Dad sat in his usual armchair, while Livia perched on the couch looking like a martyred saint in an expensive white dress. Her eyes were red-rimmed, probably spent all morning practicing her crying routine. "Who's this?" Dad gestured to Khalil. "IT specialist," Khalil said smoothly, setting up his laptop. "I'm here to verify the authenticity of the security footage." Livia's face went chalk white. "This is ridiculous," Mom huffed. "We don't need to—" "Actually, we do." I pulled out the USB drive. "Because I'm done pretending. Done watching everyone make excuses for her. Done being the bad guy for calling out her behavior." "Vi, please," Livia whispered, tears already forming. "I said I was sorry." "Sorry you got caught, you mean?" I nodded to Khalil, who connected his laptop to the TV. "Let's watch what sorry looks like." The footage started playing. The room fell silent, except for the audio from the TV. We all watched Livia's phone call, her methodical theft, her casual abandonment of Sasha. Mom's hand flew to her mouth when she saw the money being stolen. Dad's face grew darker with each passing minute. But it was the footage of Sasha, alone and scared, that finally broke them. "Turn it off," Dad growled after watching Sasha try to call Livia for the third time. "I've seen enough. But there's 3 more hours." "I said turn it off." He rounded on Livia. "How could you? She's 5 years old." Livia burst into tears. Real ones this time. I was going to come right back. But then Jessica called about this amazing sale." "A sale?" Mom's voice cracked. "You left your niece alone for a sale? And stole my emergency fund to shop with," I added. "Don't forget that part." "I was going to pay it back." Livia stood up, mascara running. "Vi's always so uptight about money, and I knew she wouldn't understand." "Understand what?" I stepped closer. "Understand that you're a thief? That you're so selfish you'd put my daughter in danger for a shopping spree? That's not fair. I'm not—" "Not what? Not responsible? Not trustworthy? Not the perfect daughter everyone thinks you are?" "Violet," Mom started, but Dad held up his hand. "No, Margaret. Not this time." He turned to Livia. "Where's the money?" I spent it." "And the jewelry?" Livia's eyes darted to her oversized purse. Dad snatched it before she could stop him, dumping the contents onto the coffee table. Out tumbled my grandmother's pearls, along with other pieces I'd thought were gone forever. "You brought them here?" I stared at her. "Were you going to hide them in Mom's jewelry box? Make me think I'd lost them?" Her silence was answer enough. "The police report's already filed," I said quietly. "But I'm willing to drop it if you pay me back. Every cent. And you stay away from my daughter." "You can't do that." Livia looked wildly at our parents. "Mom! Dad! Tell her she can't—" "Can't what?" Dad's voice was ice. "Can't protect her child? Can't demand justice for theft? What exactly can't she do, Livia?" My phone buzzed. A text from Todd. "How's it going? Need backup?" "It's done," I typed back. "The crown's not just tarnished. It's shattered." Looking up, I watched my sister crumple onto the couch, her perfect facade finally broken. Mom had sunk into Dad's chair, aging years in minutes. Dad was writing a check with shaking hands. "This covers the cash," he said, holding it out to me. "We'll sell her car for the rest." "Daddy, no!" Livia wailed. "Enough!" His shout made us all jump. "You're 28 years old, Livia. It's time you learned actions have consequences." I took the check, then gathered my grandmother's pearls from the table. Khalil quietly packed up his laptop. "I'll see myself out," I said, pausing at the door. "Oh, and Livia? Next time you're short on cash, try getting a job. It's what the rest of us do." The door closed on her fresh sobs. But for once, I didn't feel guilty. Some lessons have to hurt to be learned, and this one was long overdue. 3 days passed in a blur of missed calls and emotional text messages from Mom. Dad had sold Livia's car, as promised, but the aftermath was messier than I'd expected. I was picking up Sasha from school when my phone buzzed with yet another family bombshell. "Have you seen Livia's Facebook post?" Todd's voice was tense. I blocked her on everything. I buckled Sasha into her car seat. "Why?" "She's playing victim. Hard. Claims you set her up, installed the camera to trap her, that you're trying to ruin her life because you're jealous. Your mom's commenting in support." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Of course she is. There's more. She's saying you've always tried to turn the family against her, that you're using Sasha to manipulate everyone. Using my daughter?" The words came out as a snarl. "The one she abandoned? Mommy?" Sasha's voice came from the back seat. "Are you mad?" I forced a smile into the rearview mirror. "No, baby. Just grown-up stuff." When we got home, Khalil was waiting outside my apartment. "You've got company," he warned. "Your mom's been here for 20 minutes. "Great. Just great." "Sasha, honey, why don't you go with Uncle Khalil to get ice cream?" I handed him my keys. "Use the back entrance." Once they were gone, I climbed the stairs to find Mom pacing outside my door. "Finally!" She rushed toward me. "We need to talk about this vendetta against your sister." "Vendetta?" I unlocked my door, letting her follow me inside. "You mean holding her accountable?" "She's devastated. The car was her independence, and now—" "My emergency fund was Sasha's safety net," I cut in. "But Livia didn't care about that when she stole it, did she?" "She made a mistake." "No, Mom. A mistake is forgetting to return a phone call. A mistake is running a red light. What Livia did was a choice. Multiple choices, actually. All of them selfish. All of them cruel." Mom sank onto my couch. "She's talking about moving away. Says she can't handle the family tension." "You mean she can't handle consequences?" "Why are you being so hard on her?" I pulled up Livia's Facebook post on my phone and thrust it at her. "Why are you defending this? She's lying about me, about the situation, and you're supporting it." Mom read the post, her face paling. "She's just hurt." "Hurt? I'll tell you about hurt." I pulled up the security footage on my TV. "Watch it again. Watch your granddaughter spend hours alone, scared, calling for help that never came. That's hurt, Mom." The footage played. This time, Mom didn't look away. "She could have been injured," I continued. "She could have tried to cook something and started a fire. A stranger could have come to the door. Do you understand what could have happened?" Tears rolled down Mom's cheeks. I don't know how we got here." "We got here because you and Dad never said no to her. Because she never had to face consequences. Because it was easier to believe her lies than admit she wasn't perfect." My phone buzzed with a text from Todd. "Livia's live on Instagram, crying about family betrayal. Comments are getting ugly." "Let her cry," I said aloud. "Let her post. Let her play victim. The truth is already out there." Mom stood up, wringing her hands. "What do you want me to do?" "Stop enabling her. Stop defending her. Let her face reality for once in her life. And if she really does leave, then she leaves. But she doesn't get to rewrite history on her way out. She doesn't get to make me the villain in her story." A key turned in the lock. Khalil and Sasha returning with ice cream. Mom quickly wiped her eyes. "Grandma!" Sasha ran to her, chocolate already smeared on her face. "Want some ice cream?" Mom hugged her tight, too tight. "No, sweetheart. Grandma needs to go home and think about some things." At the door, she paused. "Violet? I'm sorry. Not just for today, but for a lot of things." After she left, Khalil showed me his phone. Livia's Instagram live had ended, but the comments remained. People weren't buying her story. Former classmates, old co-workers, they were sharing their own experiences with her manipulation. "The truth has a way of coming out," he said quietly. I watched Sasha happily eating her ice cream, safe and loved, and completely unaware of the family drama swirling around her. That's how it should be. She deserved better than what Livia had done, better than what my parents had enabled. "Let Livia post what she wants," I said. "The security footage doesn't lie, and neither do her actions. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting someone's true colors show." And show they had, in vivid, undeniable detail. A week later, my phone lit up with the news I'd been waiting for. I got the promotion. As I sat at my desk reading the offer letter, another email popped up. From Dad. "Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. Your sister's making an announcement." My stomach clenched. I called Todd immediately. "She's probably announcing she's moving to Paris or something equally dramatic," he said. "Whatever it is, I'm not going alone. You free tonight?" "Wouldn't miss it. Want me to bring popcorn?" I arrived at my parents' house with Todd and Khalil flanking me like bodyguards. Sasha was at a sleepover. I wasn't taking chances with family drama tonight. Livia's car was gone from the driveway, replaced by a beat-up Honda Civic. The sight gave me a grim satisfaction. Mom opened the door, her smile strained. "Violet, I didn't know you were bringing guests." "Support system," I said, walking past her. Since Livia brought her flying monkeys last time, the living room was tense. Dad sat in his usual chair, looking tired. Livia perched on the couch, wearing significantly less expensive clothes than usual, her designer bag replaced by a canvas tote. "Really?" she snapped when she saw Todd and Khalil. "You brought backup?" "Witnesses," Todd corrected cheerfully. "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. M." Dinner was awkward. Mom's usually perfect pot roast was overcooked, and nobody seemed interested in small talk. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. "Livia, you said you had something to tell us?" She straightened up, hands clasped dramatically in her lap. "Yes, I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything that happened." "You mean everything you did?" I muttered. Todd kicked me under the table. "I've started therapy," Livia continued, ignoring me. "And I've realized some things about myself, about my behavior patterns." Mom beamed. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm also—" Livia took a deep breath. "I'm moving out of my apartment, into a shared house with roommates. It's all I can afford now, thanks to certain people." Her eyes shot daggers at me. "Thanks to your own actions," Dad corrected firmly. "Continue." "Right. Well," she shifted uncomfortably. "Part of my therapy is making amends. So, I'm sorry, Violet, for taking the money and the jewelry and leaving Sasha alone. It was wrong." The words sounded rehearsed, empty. Before I could respond, she pulled an envelope from her tote. "Here's the first payment. I got a job at a coffee shop. It's not much, but I'll pay back everything. Eventually." I opened the envelope. $200. A fraction of what she'd stolen. "How noble," I said flatly. "Is this the part where we all hug and pretend everything's fine?" "Violet," Mom warned. "No, let her speak," Dad interrupted. "She has the right." "You're damn right I do." I stood up, hands pressed against the table. "You want to make amends? Start by taking down those lying social media posts. Admit publicly what you did. Stop playing victim while painting me as the villain." "Those posts are my truth," Livia shot back. "My feelings are valid." "Your feelings?" I laughed incredulously. "What about Sasha's feelings? Want to hear the nightmares she's had? How she's afraid to be alone now?" Livia's face crumpled. "That's not fair. I'm trying here." "Trying to save face, maybe." Khalil spoke up quietly. "Real remorse doesn't come with a social media campaign." "Nobody asked you," Livia snapped. "Actually," Dad said, "he's right. Taking responsibility means accepting the full consequences, Livia, including damage to your reputation. But no buts. Dad's voice was firm. If you're serious about making amends, start with the truth. All of it. Silence fell over the table. Livia's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. We all watched as she navigated to her social media accounts. "Fine," she whispered, and began typing. Moments later, our phones buzzed with a notification. Her new post was simple. Stark. I need to correct my previous statements. I stole from my sister and abandoned my niece. The security footage was real. My actions were inexcusable. I'm sorry for lying and trying to shift blame. I'm getting help and working to make things right. Now delete the other posts, I said. One by one, her previous accusations disappeared. Happy now? She asked bitterly. No, I replied honestly. But it's a start. Mom tried to salvage the evening with dessert, but I'd lost my appetite. As we left, Dad pulled me aside. She's trying, he said softly. Is she? Or is she just trying to repair her image? He sighed. Time will tell. But Violet, I'm proud of you. For standing your ground. For demanding better. I hugged him briefly, then joined Todd and Khalil outside. Well, Todd said as we walked to our cars. That was a performance, I finished. But at least now everyone knows which version is real. The truth was out there, permanently. Whether Livia's remorse was genuine or not, she couldn't hide from it anymore. And neither could anyone else. 2 weeks after the dinner, I was helping Sasha with her homework when someone knocked on our apartment door. Through the peephole, I saw Livia, wearing a coffee shop uniform, looking nothing like her former polished self. What do you want? I called through the door. To talk. Please, Vi. 5 minutes. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. Talk. She held out another envelope. This week's payment. Plus, she pulled something else from her bag. Sasha's baby book. I found it when I was packing up my apartment. I took it years ago because I was jealous. Of you being a mom. Of how Dad looked at Sasha. My hand shook as I took the worn pink album. You stole her baby book? I told you. I'm trying to make things right. Her voice cracked. Can I see her? No. Vi, please. You lost that privilege when you left her alone. I clutched the baby book tighter. Actions have consequences, remember? But I'm in therapy. I'm working a real job, living with roommates, paying you back. Doing the bare minimum doesn't make you a hero, Livia. Is that Aunt Livia? Sasha's small voice came from behind me. Before I could stop her, she squeezed past me to the doorway. Livia's face lit up, but Sasha stepped back, pressing against my legs. You left me alone, Sasha said quietly. Livia knelt down. I know, sweetie. I'm so sorry. I was scared. I was wrong, very wrong, but I'm trying to be better. Why did you take Mommy's money? The simple question seemed to hit Livia harder than any adult confrontation. She sat back on her heels, mascara starting to run. Because I was selfish and stupid and a very bad aunt. And my necklace, I added, the one from Grandma? Because I wanted what you had. Livia's voice was barely a whisper. Your strength, your independence, your daughter's love. I thought if I took your things, I'd somehow take your life too. That's not how it works, Sasha said, with all the wisdom of a 5-year-old. You can't take people's lives. You have to make your own. Livia's sob echoed in the hallway. When did you get so smart? Mommy teaches me things, like how to be brave and how to tell the truth. I pulled Sasha closer, protective and proud. Can I show you something? Livia pulled out her phone, hands trembling. She pulled up a website, her new blog. The latest post was titled, My Journey to Rock Bottom, How I Lost My Family's Trust. I'm writing about everything, she said. The real story. No more lies, no more excuses. Just truth. I scrolled through the post. It was raw, honest, ugly in its self-reflection. She'd included screenshots of her previous social media lies, followed by detailed corrections. Mom and Dad haven't seen it yet, she continued. I wanted you to see it first. Because you deserve the truth before anyone else got it. My phone buzzed. A text from Todd. Check your email, now. I opened my inbox to find a forwarded message from my company's HR department. Livia had sent them a long email, explaining how she'd almost sabotaged my promotion by spreading lies, apologizing for any damage to my reputation. I sent those to every place I badmouthed you, Livia said quietly. Your gym, Sasha's school, everywhere. I'm owning all of it. Why now? Because my therapist said healing starts with honesty, and because... She looked at Sasha. Because I want to be worthy of being her aunt someday. Sasha tugged at my sleeve. Mommy, can we show Aunt Livia my new dance? The one from class? I hesitated, studying my sister's face. The designer makeup was gone, replaced by exhaustion and something else. Humility, maybe. Real humility, not the performed kind. 5 minutes, I said finally. In the living room, where I can see you both. Livia's smile was watery but genuine. Thank you. As Sasha excitedly pulled her aunt inside, chattering about dance class, I sent a quick text to Dad. Check Livia's blog. I think she might be actually changing. His response came quickly. Actions speak louder than words, but words are a start. I watched Sasha demonstrate her dance moves, Livia clapping with genuine enthusiasm. The sight stirred complicated emotions: hope, wariness, a reluctant softening. Again, Sasha demanded, and Livia laughed. A real laugh, not her usual practice tinkle. Maybe Dad was right. Words were just a start. But for the first time since this all began, it felt like an honest one. The autumn wind scattered leaves across my parents' backyard as I watched Sasha help Dad rake them into piles. Inside, the sounds of dinner preparation filled the kitchen, where Mom was teaching Livia how to make Grandma's secret recipe stuffing. First time she's trusted Livia with that recipe, Todd remarked, joining me at the window. Progress? Small steps. I handed him a mug of coffee. But real ones. Livia had stuck to her word over the past months. Weekly payments from her coffee shop job, consistent therapy sessions, honest blog posts about her journey. She'd even started a support group for other people working to rebuild family trust. The doorbell rang, Khalil arriving with his famous pecan pie. As he set it on the counter, Livia looked up from her stuffing duties. Hey, she said softly. I read your comment on my latest blog post about enabling behavior and family dynamics. It helped. Good, Khalil replied. Because you've got a lot of readers now. People need to hear this stuff. Speaking of hearing things, Mom interjected. Violet, tell them your news. I smiled, fingering the business card in my pocket. The promotion came with an unexpected bonus. They're starting a new department, and they want me to head it. That's amazing. Livia's genuine enthusiasm still caught me off guard sometimes. Wait, isn't that what you always wanted? Leading your own team? It is. I watched her carefully. No flash of jealousy, no subtle undermining, just pride and excitement. Mommy! Sasha burst through the back door, leaves in her hair. Can Aunt Livia help me with my science project tomorrow? She knows all about plants from the coffee shop's garden program. I caught Livia's hopeful glance. She hadn't asked to be alone with Sasha since that day, respecting my boundaries without complaint. How about we all work on it together? I suggested. After Aunt Livia's shift, Livia's eyes welled up, but she quickly turned back to the stuffing. Dad came in, brushing leaves from his jacket. Found something while raking, he said, pulling out a tarnished tiara, Livia's old Halloween costume crown. Remember this? The golden child's crown, I said without thinking. The kitchen went silent. Livia stared at the tiara, then slowly picked it up. I was never golden, she said quietly. Just really good at faking it, and really scared of being seen for who I really was. She handed the tiara to Sasha. Here, sweetie, for your dress-up box. But it's yours, Sasha said confused. Not anymore. I don't need crowns or designer clothes or other people's things to feel special. Livia smiled at me. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. Deep thoughts from the coffee shop philosopher, Todd teased, but kindly. Hey, you should see the tips I get when customers read my blog on their laptops, Livia laughed. Turns out authenticity pays better than pretense. Mom wiped her hands on her apron. Dinner's almost ready. Violet, will you help me set the table? As we laid out plates and silverware, Mom touched my arm. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. The damage we did by playing favorites. Mom? No, let me finish. Watching Livia now, really watching her, I see how our enabling hurt both of you. But seeing you two heal, watching you set boundaries while still leaving room for growth, she squeezed my hand. You taught us all something about real love. The doorbell rang again. This time it was my old babysitter, coming to return a book she'd borrowed. Livia immediately went to apologize for taking her job that day, launching into a conversation about responsibility and growth. She does that a lot now, Sasha observed, helping me fold napkins. Says sorry to people. Is that good or bad? Good, because she means it. Sasha arranged the napkins carefully. And she doesn't try to be perfect anymore. She's just Aunt Livia. From the kitchen came laughter. Livia had apparently spilled stuffing on her coffee shop uniform. Instead of crying about designer clothes ruined, she was joking about adding stuffing barista to her resume. Dinner's ready, Mom called. Everyone wash up. As we gathered around the table, family, friends, and reformed sisters, I realized something. The story wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't even about justice. It was about growth, about the painful, beautiful process of becoming real. Livia caught my eye across the table and mouthed, "Thank you." Not for forgiveness or acceptance, but for something harder, the chance to earn back trust, one honest moment at a time. I nodded, passing her the stuffing she'd helped make. Sometimes the best endings aren't about perfect resolution, but about finding the courage to write a new story together. Even if that story starts with a security camera and a stolen emergency fund. Even if it takes losing a crown to find your true worth.
I woke up to the sound of a jackhammer tearing into my foundation, not a metaphor, an actual jackhammer, rattling through the bones of my house like it was trying to shake me out of bed. My leg, still pinned in a brace from the accident, throbbed in protest as I sat up too fast. I grabbed my crutches and hobbled to the window, yanking the curtain back. There in the backyard I'd spent months restoring, where I'd planted my fiancé's favorite hydrangeas, where we'd planned to build a small greenhouse, stood 3 men in hard hats and neon vests. One of them waved at me like we were old friends. I didn't wave back. My name's Christine. I'm 34, recovering from a car accident that should have killed me, and apparently I'm also the last person to know I'm having an extension built onto my house. I made it down the stairs one painful step at a time, each thud of the jackhammer syncing with my heartbeat. By the time I got to the back door, I was sweating and furious. "Hey!" I shouted. The guy holding the jackhammer shut it off. The silence was deafening. "You can't just tear up my yard. Who told you to start this?" He looked confused. Dawson said you were out of commission, but everything was approved." I blinked. "Dawson? As in my sister's husband?" "Yeah, he and your folks signed off. Said it was all family." I stared at him. "Get off my property, now." He hesitated. "I mean, we already poured now." He raised his hands and nodded, motioning to the others. As they packed up, I limped back inside, heart pounding. I called my mom first. "Oh, honey," she said, like I was overreacting to a surprise birthday party. "It's just a little extension. Sophie said you'd love it once it's done." "Sophie doesn't live here, Mom. I do, and no one asked me." "Well, you've been in recovery, and your dad and I. You don't own the house. You gave us power of attorney while you were in the hospital," she said gently. You thought wrong." I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. I had trusted them. I gave them temporary control because I couldn't walk, couldn't think straight, couldn't even feed myself without help. And this is what they did? I called Sophie next. She didn't pick up, of course. An hour later, she showed up with Dawson, both of them wearing matching smug smiles, like they were walking into a ribbon-cutting ceremony. "Hey, sis," Sophie chirped, leaning in for a hug I didn't return. "Isn't it exciting? We're finally doing it." "Doing what?" I asked, leaning on my crutch like a weapon. "The family wing," Dawson said, like it was obvious. "Guest suite, office space, maybe a nursery down the line." I blinked. "A nursery?" "Just thinking ahead," Sophie said quickly. "You've been through so much, and you thought you'd move in." She smiled, but her eyes flickered. "Just until you're back on your feet. We can help with the house, the bills." "I don't need help. I need you to leave." Dawson laughed like I'd told a joke. "Chris, come on. This place is huge. You don't even use half of it." "It's mine." "Technically," he said, "your parents had legal authority when they approved the plans. Everything's signed and sealed." I folded my arms. "Show me." He hesitated. I walked, well hobbled, past them to the dining table where a stack of papers sat in a neat manila folder. Sophie tried to block me, but I shoved past her, and there it was, a building permit, approved, with my name, my signature. Except I never signed it. I held it up. "This is a forgery." Sophie's face went pale. "No, it's not. Dad said you were okay with it." "Did I sign this?" She didn't answer. Dawson stepped forward. "Look, we can talk about this later. You're upset and—" "Get out. Christine, out now." They left, but not before Dawson muttered, "Ungrateful," under his breath. I stood there, gripping the forged permit like it was a loaded gun. The room was spinning, or maybe that was just the pain meds wearing off. I sat down slowly, the brace on my legs stiff and unforgiving. I looked around the room, the house I grew up in, the one I bought back after Mom and Dad downsized, the one I poured every spare dollar into after losing the only man who ever truly understood me. The house I bled for, cried in, rebuilt from the studs up. And they thought they could just take it? I looked down at the signature again. The loops in the C were wrong. The tail of the E didn't curl. It wasn't just a lie. It was sloppy. And that's when I felt it. Not anger, not even betrayal, cold, clean rage. If they wanted a war, they just declared it. And I don't lose wars. The following Saturday, I woke up to the sound of children screaming. Not in danger, just the high-pitched chaos of a birthday party. I dragged myself to the window. Balloons, a rented bounce house, folding tables lined with cupcakes and glittery paper plates. My backyard looked like a Pinterest board threw up on it. I hadn't agreed to any of this. I crutched my way downstairs, opened the back door, and was nearly trampled by a kid in a Spider-Man costume. I turned the corner and found Sophie in my patio chair, sipping sangria like she was the damn hostess of the year. "Sophie!" She looked up all fake surprise. "Oh, you're up. Isn't this fun? It's for Dawson's niece. Her mom had to cancel last minute, so we offered to host." "In my yard?" "Well, it's our yard now, kind of," she said, laughing like that would make it cute. I didn't laugh. "Where's Dawson?" She pointed toward the grill where Dawson was flipping burgers and talking to two guys in suits. One of them handed him a business card. I limped over. "Dawson!" He turned, still holding the spatula. "Hey, Christine, want a burger?" "Are you having a business meeting at a child's birthday party?" He shrugged. "Networking. It's all about relationships." "On my property." He smirked. "Technically, our property. We're investing in the future here." I stared at him. "You're not even trying to hide it anymore, are you?" "Hide what?" I didn't answer. I just turned, went back inside, and locked the door behind me. I called to Tate. "Tell me you're still practicing real estate law," I said the second he picked up. "Christine, wow, it's been a while." "Yeah, and it's about to get ugly." I told him everything. Well, the short version, the forged signature, the construction, the sudden invasion of my house like it was a timeshare. He whistled. "You didn't sign anything? No verbal agreement?" "Nothing. I was on morphine when they filed the paperwork. I couldn't even hold a pen." "Then it's fraud. Let me come by tomorrow. Bring the documents." I exhaled for the first time all day. "Thanks, Tate." That night I stayed upstairs while the party dragged on. I watched the guests leave with their party favors and half-eaten cupcakes. I watched Sophie and Dawson laugh like they owned the place. And I thought about all the years I kept my head down. The quiet holidays where Sophie got the big gifts and I got the practical ones. The way Mom always said, "Your sister just needs a little more help right now." Like that was a permanent excuse for everything. I wasn't going to be quiet anymore. The next day, Tate showed up with a laptop, a legal pad, and a look that said he meant business. "Let me see the deed," he said, sitting at my kitchen table. I handed it over. He scanned it, tapping his pen against the table. "Okay, so your parents had temporary power of attorney while you were incapacitated, but it expired the moment you regained legal capacity. That was, what, 3 months ago?" "4. "Right, and they approved construction after that?" "Yep." "Then none of this holds." He flipped to the back page. "Also, interesting." "What?" He pointed to a clause I'd never noticed. "Any structure permanently attached to the original dwelling triggers a reassessment of the property. That means taxes, insurance, potentially even zoning penalties depending on how they filed." I blinked. "So they're on the hook for all of that?" "If they're listed as co-applicants, absolutely." I smiled. "Good." Later that afternoon, Wayne, the contractor, showed up to collect some tools. I met him outside. "Hey," I said, "got a minute?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Sure." "You've been doing this for a while, right?" 20 years. "Ever had a client forge a homeowner's signature?" He looked at me carefully. "That what happened here?" I didn't answer. He sighed. "I had a feeling. You didn't seem thrilled when I saw you the first time." I wasn't. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I was told you were recovering and that everything was cleared. I didn't think to question it." "You didn't see the red flags?" "I did, but I also saw the check clear." I nodded slowly. "Fair enough." He looked around, lowered his voice. "You didn't sign off on those blueprints, did you?" "Nope." He nodded. "Then you got a case." I looked him in the eye. "Would you be willing to say that, officially?" He hesitated. "If it comes to that, yeah, I will." I held out my hand. He shook it. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with Tate, going over every document line by line. Sophie and Dawson were out, probably schmoozing at some wine bar or pretending to be the power couple of the neighborhood. I didn't care. Let them play house. Because while they were busy planning their fantasy life, I was building something else, a case. And I was going to make sure it hit them where it hurt most. Sophie was in the kitchen when I came downstairs the next morning, barefoot, wearing one of my old college sweatshirts like it belonged to her. She was stirring oat milk into her coffee, humming to herself. I opened the fridge. Half my groceries were gone. Again. "Did you eat the leftovers from last night?" I asked. She didn't even turn around. "Oh, yeah, Dawson was starving after his showing. We figured you wouldn't mind." I shut the fridge a little harder than necessary. "Next time, ask." She finally looked at me. "You're so tense lately. You should be happy the house is finally coming together." I grabbed a bottle of water. "Whose house?" She smiled. "Ours." I walked away before I said something unforgivable. Later that day, Dawson cornered me in the hallway. He was wearing a blazer and holding a latte like he was about to film a commercial for himself. "Quick question," he said. "Do you still have that spare key to the garage? I want to show a client the layout." "No." He blinked. "No, you don't have it." Or "No, I can't use it." I stared at him. "No, you can't use it?" He chuckled like I was being cute. "Christine, you're being difficult." "No, I'm being the owner of this house." He leaned in slightly. "You don't want to make this hostile. We're family." I stepped back. "Then stop acting like a squatter." That night, I was in my room when I heard them laughing downstairs, loud like they wanted me to hear. I opened the group chat with Tate and sent him a photo of the new blueprint I'd found stuffed in a drawer in the living room. He replied instantly, "This is gold. I'll explain tomorrow." The next morning, Tate showed up with coffee and a grin I hadn't seen since college. "Okay," he said, spreading out the blueprint on the table. "Here's what they didn't realize. This addition, it's structurally connected to the main house. That means under the county code, the entire property is now subject to reassessment." "Meaning?" "Meaning your property taxes are about to triple." I blinked. "And I'm the only name on the deed." "Exactly." I leaned back in my chair. "So they built their dream wing, and I get the bill." "Unless," he said, tapping the blueprint, "we make sure the county knows who initiated the construction." I smiled. "Let's do it." That afternoon, I printed a fresh copy of the new tax assessment. It had arrived in the mail that morning, thick and official looking. I stuck a yellow post-it on top. "Looks like your generosity has a price tag." I left it on the kitchen counter. By dinner, Sophie was pacing the living room, holding the letter like it might catch fire. "This has to be a mistake," she said. "Christine, did you see this?" I did. "It says the taxes are going up by, what, 15 grand a year?" 17, I said, sipping my tea. Dawson stormed in, waving the paper. "Why is this under your name? We all live here." "Because I own the house." He pointed at me. "You're not going to stick us with this. We added value." "You added debt." Sophie's voice cracked. "We don't have that kind of money." I looked at her. "Then maybe you shouldn't have built something you couldn't afford." Dawson stepped closer. "You think this is funny?" "No," I said. "I think it's legal." He opened his mouth, but I held up my phone. "By the way, I recorded this conversation, just in case you try to say you had my consent." His jaw clenched. "You're bluffing." I hit play, my voice clear. "You didn't ask me. You forged my name." Sophie's voice panicked. "We thought you'd be okay with it. Dad said." I paused it. "Still bluffing?" They stared at me like I'd grown horns. "We can fix this," Sophie said quickly. "We'll talk to the board, maybe refinance." "No," I said. "You won't?" I reached into my bag and handed Dawson a manila envelope. He opened it. His face went white. "What is this?" he asked. "Cease and desist," I said, "effective immediately. You're no longer allowed to use any part of this house for business purposes. That includes client meetings, mail, signage, and marketing materials." You're kicking us out? Not yet, but keep pushing. Sophie looked like she might cry. Christine, please, we're family. I looked at her, really looked at her, the entitled tilt of her chin, the way she clutched Dawson's arm like a lifeline. You stopped being family when you stole from me, I said. They left the room in silence. I stood there, alone, in the house I'd rebuilt. My legs still ached. My heart still had cracks. But for the first time in months, I felt steady. The war had started, and I was just getting warmed up. 3 days later, Sophie left a box of pastries on the kitchen counter like it was a peace offering. I didn't touch them. Instead, I mailed her something of my own, a pristine copy of the new property tax bill, folded neatly inside a bright pink envelope. On top, a yellow post-it. Looks like your generosity has a price tag. By noon, she was banging on my bedroom door. Christine, can we talk, please? I opened the door just enough to see her face. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her mascara was smudged and her voice had that fake sweet edge she used when she wanted something. We didn't know it would affect your taxes, she said. You didn't know it would affect my taxes because you didn't bother to ask. We thought it would be fine. Dawson says a lot of things. She flinched. We can figure this out. Maybe we can split it? I raised an eyebrow. Split the taxes on a house you don't own? She blinked, mouth open, nothing coming out. Didn't think so, I said, and shut the door. That night, Dawson tried a different approach. He cornered me in the driveway as I was getting the mail. Listen, he said, arms crossed, voice low. This doesn't have to get messy. Too late. He stepped closer. You're not thinking long term. We put a lot into this place. Sweat equity, Christine. If you go nuclear, we both lose. No, I said, holding up the envelope of bills. You lose. I get my house back. His jaw tightened. You're really going to do this? I smiled. Already started. He laughed, bitter. You're not going to win. You don't know how this works. I leaned in, voice calm. I know enough to record this conversation, too. He stepped back. Later that week, Tate came by with a flash drive and a grin. I cleaned up the audio, he said. Crystal clear. Sophie admits to forging your name. Dawson admits to using the house for business without your permission. Good, I said. Let's make it official. We spent the next 2 hours filing complaints with the housing board and the local licensing office. Tate handled the legal jargon. I just provided the receipts, emails, texts, photos, voice memos. By Friday, Dawson's real estate license was under review. Saturday, Sophie's phone started blowing up. I could hear it buzzing through the walls. She was pacing the hallway, whispering frantically. Her Instagram was suddenly wiped clean. No more curated shots of the family home or the Price Shepherd lifestyle. Just a blank profile and one cryptic story. Taking a break to focus on what really matters. Please. The next morning, I filed a petition to partition the property. Tate explained it like this. You're requesting the court to formally separate the addition from the main dwelling. If approved, they'll be responsible for their own taxes, utilities, and insurance. And if it's denied, then we proceed with eviction. I nodded. Do it. That night, Dawson knocked on my door. No smile, no blazer, just a man who realized the walls were closing in. We'll buy you out, he said. I laughed. Buy me out of my own house? You're being unreasonable. No, I said, stepping into the hallway. You built a fantasy on someone else's foundation, and now it's crumbling. Sophie appeared behind him, arms folded, eyes red. Please, she said. We have nowhere else to go. Then you shouldn't have burned the only bridge you had. Dawson's voice dropped. You think you're so smart, but you're petty, bitter, alone. I didn't flinch. And you're trespassing. He scoffed. You're going to regret this. I smiled. Eviction notice goes out Monday. He stared at me like he was trying to decide whether to fight or fold. He folded. They went back to their side of the house, quiet for once. I stood there in the hallway, the silence ringing louder than their shouting ever had. I wasn't just taking back my house, I was taking back everything they thought they could steal, and I wasn't done yet. The knock came just after 10 a.m. I opened the door to find a man in a navy windbreaker holding a clipboard. Christine, he asked. Yes? County Housing Board. We received your complaint. I'm here to inspect the addition. I stepped aside. Be my guest. 10 minutes later, he was standing in the middle of what Sophie and Dawson had been calling the family wing, shaking his head. Who filed the construction permits? He asked. My parents under power of attorney, but it was expired, and the signature on the approval? Forged. He looked up. You have proof? I handed him a folder, photos, dates, the audio files Tate had cleaned up. He flipped through it, expression darkening. This is a mess, he muttered. Tell me about it. He took a few more photos, measured a couple of walls, and left with a tight nod. You'll hear from us soon. Sophie and Dawson came home 2 hours later. I was on the porch sipping iced tea, waiting. What's with the county car outside? Dawson asked. Inspection, I said. Sophie's face drained. What kind of inspection? The kind that determines whether your little project is legal. You called the board? She snapped. No, I said. I filed a formal complaint. There's a difference. Dawson stepped forward, trying to loom. You're playing dirty. No, I said calmly. I'm playing smart. That night Tate called. They're moving fast, he said. The board's opening a case. They flagged multiple violations, zoning, permit fraud, misuse of residential space. Good. And Dawson's license? Suspended pending investigation. I smiled. Perfect. The next morning, Sophie was crying in the kitchen. I walked in to grab my coffee and found her hunched over her phone. They're tagging me in everything, she said, not even looking up. People are saying I'm a scammer, a leech. I poured my coffee. Maybe don't steal next time. She looked up, eyes puffy. You're enjoying this. No, I said, but I'm not apologizing for it either. Later that week, the petition to partition the property was approved. I served them the paperwork myself. Sophie stared at the envelope like it was a death sentence. What does this mean? It means your part of the house is now legally separate. You're responsible for your own taxes, insurance, utilities. Dawson scoffed. That's ridiculous. We don't even have our own meter. Then I suggest you get one. Fast. He crumpled the paper in his fist. You're going to regret this. No, I said. You are. 2 days later, I came home to find Dawson pacing the driveway, phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what it takes. Get me out of this, he snapped. No, I didn't know the permits were invalid. What do you mean that's my responsibility? He saw me and turned away, lowering his voice. I walked past him without a word. That night, Tate and I sat on the porch watching the sun dip behind the trees. They're going to lose everything, he said. I know. You okay with that? I thought about it. I didn't start this. I just finished it. The following Monday, the court sent the final notice. Sophie and Dawson had 30 days to vacate the property. The extension was deemed unauthorized and subject to removal unless brought into compliance, which would cost more than they could afford. Dawson tried one last time. He showed up at my door with a check in hand. Name your price, he said. I looked at the check. Blank. Arrogant. I handed it back. Eviction stands. He stared at me, jaw twitching. You don't even need the space, but I need my peace." He left without another word. A week later, my parents called a family meeting. "We just want to talk," Mom said. "Clear the air." I didn't want to go, but I did. We met at their house. Sophie and Dawson were already there, sitting stiffly on the couch. Mom looked nervous. Dad looked tired. "I think we've all made mistakes," Mom began. I cut her off. "This isn't about mistakes. It's about choices." Dad cleared his throat. Dawson was trying to help. He had a vision. He forged my signature. Sophie spoke up. "We didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't care if you did." Mom reached for my hand. "We're still a family." I pulled away. "No, we're not. Not when you let them take over my house. Not when you ignored me. Not when you chose convenience over truth." Sophie stood up, voice shaking. "You're punishing everyone because you're bitter and alone." I stood too. "No, I'm protecting myself. Something you've never had to do." She slapped me. It wasn't hard. It was desperate. I didn't flinch. I just smiled. "There she is." Dad looked horrified. Mom gasped. I turned and walked out. I didn't look back. The war was over, and I'd won. The moving truck showed up on a Thursday morning. I watched from the porch as Dawson barked orders at the two guys he'd probably hired off Craigslist. Sophie stood off to the side, arms crossed, sunglasses hiding her swollen eyes. They didn't speak to me. They didn't even look my way. I didn't offer to help. I just sipped my coffee and let the sound of boxes slamming into the truck be my music. By noon, the extension was empty. The walls echoed. The dream wing was now just drywall and regret. Wayne showed up around 2. "You ready?" he asked. I nodded. "Let's do it." He walked the perimeter with a clipboard, measuring and marking. "The court order says we can remove everything added after the permit was filed. That includes the deck, the second entrance, and the utility hookups." "Good." He looked up at me. "You sure you want to go through with this?" "I'm sure." He nodded. "All right. We'll start demolition tomorrow." Sophie came back around 4, alone. She didn't knock, just walked right in like she still lived here. I met her in the hallway. "You forgot something?" I asked. She held out a small box. Inside was a photo of us as kids. Matching dresses, gap-toothed smiles, holding hands in front of the fireplace. "I thought maybe you'd want it," she said. I took the box and set it on the table. "Thanks." She looked around like she was seeing the house for the first time. "We really messed this up." I didn't answer. "I thought we were building something," she said. "I didn't realize we were burning everything down." I leaned against the wall. "You didn't care who got hurt. That's the difference." "I was scared," she said. "We were drowning in debt. Dawson kept saying this would save us." "And you believed him?" She nodded. "I wanted to believe someone, anyone. I didn't think you'd fight back." I looked at her. "That's your problem. You never thought I'd stand up." She wiped her eyes. "Mom and Dad are mad at you." "I know. They say you're tearing the family apart." I shrugged. "Then maybe it wasn't much of a family to begin with." She didn't argue. Before she left, she turned at the door. "If I ever have kids, I hope they grow up to be more like you." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. The next day, the demolition started. Wayne's crew worked fast. By the end of the week, the extension was gone, just like that. The foundation was ripped up, the walls hauled off, the dream reduced to rubble. The county held an auction for the salvaged materials. Cabinets, fixtures, even the fancy light fixtures Sophie picked out on credit. Most of it sold for pennies. The money went straight to cover the back taxes. I didn't keep a dime. Mom called once, left a voicemail. "We didn't know it would go this far. Please, Christine, don't let this be the end." I didn't call her back. Dad sent an email, just one line. You've made your point. I deleted it. I visited the cemetery that Sunday. The wind was sharp, but the sky was clear. I sat by his grave for a long time. You always said I was too forgiving, I said. Guess I finally proved you wrong. I laid a single hydrangea on the headstone. The ones we'd planted together were gone now, dug up during the construction, but I'd replant them in the spring in clean soil. As I stood to leave, I felt something shift inside me. Not peace exactly, but something close, like I could breathe again. When I got home, Wayne was waiting on the porch. Weird question, he said. You ever think about a greenhouse? I raised an eyebrow. Why? He smiled. You got the space now, and I owe you one for dragging me into this circus. I dragged you? He laughed. Okay, maybe I volunteered. I thought about it. Yeah, maybe. Something simple. Glass walls, raised beds. He nodded. We can draw up plans next week. I looked at the empty patch of dirt where the extension used to be. For the first time, it didn't make me angry. It just looked like a blank canvas. Let's do it, I said. The war was over, and I was finally home. The auction was held in a dusty parking lot behind the county building. Rows of folding chairs, a few curious onlookers, and a sad lineup of what used to be Sophie and Dawson's dream. Kitchen cabinets, a clawfoot tub, French doors still wrapped in plastic, all of it tagged and numbered, ready to be picked apart by strangers. I stood off to the side with my arms crossed as the auctioneer barked through a megaphone. Lot 27. Custom marble countertops starting at $50. A man in a flannel jacket raised his hand. It sold for $75. Wayne showed up halfway through. He handed me a coffee without a word and stood beside me, watching the pieces of the extension disappear one by one. They really poured money into this, he said. Money they didn't have. He nodded slowly. You okay? I didn't answer right away. Then I said, I thought it would feel better. Doesn't? It does, I said. Just not the way I expected. He didn't push. After the last item was sold, a county clerk handed me a receipt. The total came out to just under $7,000. Every cent went to cover the balloon property taxes. The rest gone. No refunds, no credits. I signed the paper and handed it back. Sophie and Dawson didn't show. They were long gone by then, moved into a rental 2 towns over. Word was Dawson was working under someone else's real estate license now, showing condos part-time. Sophie had gone quiet on social media. No more curated brunch photos. No more family goals, hashtags, just silence. I didn't hear from them again. Mom sent one last text. I hope you're happy. You've broken this family. I stared at it for a long time. Then I blocked her number. Some bridges don't burn. They rot slowly until one day you step on them and fall through. I wasn't falling anymore. A week later, I stood in the backyard with Wayne, looking at the empty patch of dirt where the extension used to be. He unrolled a set of drawings on the patio table. Greenhouse here, he said, pointing. Raised beds along the back. We can run water lines through the old utility trench, solar panels on the roof. I traced the outline with my finger. You think it'll get enough sun? Plenty. You got the best angle on the block. I smiled. Let's start Monday. The next morning, I visited the local nursery, bought a tray of seedlings, tomatoes, basil, lavender. I carried them home like they were something fragile and sacred. Wayne and his team showed up on schedule. No delays, no drama, just quiet progress. By the end of the week, the frame was up. Glass panels followed, then the shelves, then the soil. It was beautiful, simple, clean, full of potential. Just like the house used to feel before they tried to take it from me. Tate came by to see it. Damn, he said, stepping inside. This is nicer than my apartment. I laughed. You helped make it happen. He looked around. You know, you could rent this out for weddings or sell herbs, something passive. I don't want passive, I said. I want peace. He nodded. You earned it. Before he left, he paused at the door. I meant to ask, you ever hear from your parents? No. You think they'll come around? I shook my head. They already made their choice. He didn't argue. After he left, I stood in the middle of the greenhouse. The sun poured through the glass. The air smelled like earth and promise. I bent down and started planting, one seed at a time. That night, I sat on the porch with a glass of wine, watching the sky turn orange and gold. Wayne walked up with 2 folding chairs and set one beside me. You okay? He asked. I think so. He nodded. Good. You deserve that. We sat in silence for a while, then he said, You know, if you ever want to build another wing. I laughed. He grinned. Kidding. Mostly. I looked out at the yard, at the greenhouse, at the house I'd fought for. No more wings, I said, just roots. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. I was in the greenhouse, gently misting the basil, when I heard footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Smells like a pizza place in here, Tate said, ducking through the door, in the best way. Fresh basil, I said, spraying one last leaf before setting the bottle down. You're late. I brought bribes. He held up a paper bag. Cinnamon rolls. From that little bakery you like. I took the bag and peeked inside. You're forgiven. Wayne showed up a few minutes later, toolbox in hand. You two eating without me? There's enough sugar in here to kill a horse, I said, handing him a roll. We sat on the low bench inside the greenhouse, warm light streaming through the glass. The air smelled like soil and cinnamon, and for once no one was yelling, demanding, or pretending to be someone they weren't. Wayne wiped his hands on his jeans. Got the last coat of sealant on the roof. Should be good for the season. Thanks, I said. He nodded. You did good here. Tate leaned back, chewing. Better than good. You turned a demolition site into a sanctuary. I shrugged. I just wanted something that was mine again. Wayne looked out the glass wall. You ever hear from them? I shook my head. Not since the auction. Tate raised an eyebrow. Not even your parents? Nope. Wayne looked surprised. You okay with that? I nodded. I'm not chasing people who only show up when it benefits them. They didn't argue. We sat there for a while, just the 3 of us, the greenhouse humming with quiet life. Outside, the wind rustled the trees. Inside, everything felt still. Eventually, Tate stood. All right, I got court in an hour. Some guy suing his neighbor over a koi pond. Real thrilling. Wayne stood too. I should head out. Got another job starting next week. They both paused at the door. You need anything, Tate said, you call. Wayne added, and if you ever want to expand, no wings, I said, smiling. He grinned, right, just roots. They left and I stayed behind, watering the last row of seedlings. When I stepped out, the sun was low, casting long shadows across the yard. I walked around the house, checking the new gutters, the trimmed hedges. Everything was clean, quiet, mine. Then I saw her, Sophie, standing at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed, eyes hidden behind sunglasses. I didn't say anything, just waited. She took a few cautious steps forward. I saw the greenhouse. I nodded. Built it where your nursery used to be. She flinched. I didn't come to fight. Then why are you here? She pulled something from her bag, a small envelope. She held it out. I didn't take it. It's not money, she said. It's a letter from Mom. I raised an eyebrow. She couldn't send it herself. She's embarrassed. She should be. Sophie lowered her hand. I don't expect you to forgive us. Good. But I wanted to say it anyway. I'm sorry. I looked at her. Really looked. She was thinner, paler, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, none of the usual polish. There was no Dawson in sight, no matching outfits, no curated smiles. I lost everything, she said. Our savings. Friends. Dawson's license is still suspended. We're renting a one-bedroom. I'm working part-time at a preschool. I didn't say anything. I know I deserve this, she said, but I also know you didn't deserve what we did to you. I finally took the envelope. You're right, I didn't. She nodded. I won't bother you again. She turned to leave. Sophie. She stopped. I hope you mean it. She looked over her shoulder. I do. Then she was gone. I walked back inside, set the envelope on the counter, and left it there. I didn't open it. Instead, I grabbed my gloves and headed back to the greenhouse. The sun was setting, casting gold across the glass walls. I knelt in the dirt, planting the last of the lavender. My hands sank into the soil, warm, forgiving. No more noise, no more lies. Just the sound of water, wind, and the quiet rhythm of something growing. Justice didn't come with fireworks. It came with silence and a view.
The acceptance letter trembled in my hands as tears blurred the university letterhead. After 3 years of advanced placement classes, robotics competitions, and endless studying, I'd done it. Massachusetts Institute of Technology wanted me. We did it! I squealed, throwing my arms around Naomi, who'd been pacing my bedroom floor waiting for me to open the email. MIT, full engineering program. My name is Josephine, and that moment was supposed to be the beginning of my dreams coming true. Instead, it became the catalyst for destroying my family. Your grandparents would be so proud, Naomi said, squeezing me tight. Their college fund is finally going to good use. I nodded, thinking of Gran and Pop's faces when they'd told me about the education trust they'd set up. A smart girl needs a proper education, Gran had said, squeezing my hand. Not just a husband to take care of her. That memory should have been my first warning. Mom! I called downstairs. The letter came. I got in. Silence. Then footsteps on the stairs, slow and measured. My mother appeared in the doorway, perfect makeup and pressed clothes as always. That's wonderful, dear. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. We should celebrate, Naomi suggested. Maybe dinner with the whole family? Mom's smile tightened. Let's wait until your father gets home to discuss it. That evening, Dad's reaction matched Mom's. Congratulations that felt hollow, smiles that seemed strained. When I mentioned calling the bank about accessing the college fund for the deposit, they exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. We'll handle the financial arrangements, Mom said quickly. You focus on finishing senior year. I trusted them. God, I was so stupid. 2 weeks later, I sat in the local bank branch, staring at account numbers that didn't make sense. This can't be right, I told the teller. There should be over $60,000 here. The teller clicked through several screens. The majority of funds were withdrawn last month through multiple transactions. The current balance is $812. The room spun. That's impossible. I never authorized any withdrawals. The withdrawals were approved by the account trustees, your parents. I drove home in a daze, hands shaking on the steering wheel. They were waiting for me in the living room, faces carefully blank. What did you do? My voice cracked. Sit down, Josephine, Dad said quietly. Where's my college fund? Mom smoothed her skirt. Your brother needed help. He got in over his head with some people who wouldn't take no for an answer. Wyatt? You gave my college fund to Wyatt? Family helps family, Dad muttered, not meeting my eyes. I'm family too. The words ripped from my throat. That money was for my education. Don't be dramatic, Mom said. You're a pretty girl. You'll find a nice man who can take care of you. Wyatt needed that money more. He could have been seriously hurt. I stared at them, these strangers wearing my parents' faces. You stole my future to bail him out of gambling debts? We didn't steal anything, Mom snapped. We're the trustees. It was a family decision. A family decision you made without the family member whose future you just destroyed. Dad shifted uncomfortably. You can take classes at community college, maybe transfer later. I got into MIT! I was screaming now, past caring. Do you even understand what that means? What you've thrown away? What's done is done, Mom said firmly. You need to accept it and move forward. I stormed up to my room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Naomi answered on the first ring. They gave it all to Wyatt, I choked out. Every penny. Those absolute bastards, she breathed. What are you going to do? I wiped my eyes, remembering the documentation I'd already submitted to MIT's bursar office weeks ago. Copies of the trust agreement, signature specimens, formal request for deposit procedures, standard paperwork they required from trust fund students, paperwork that proved exactly who was supposed to control that money. They think I'll just accept this, I said quietly, that I'll give up on college and find some man to marry like Mom wants. But you won't. No. I opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I won't. I clicked compose and addressed an email to MIT's Financial Fraud Division. My hands had stopped shaking. They had no idea who they were dealing with, I told Naomi, and by the time they figure it out, it'll be too late. I hit send and watched the email disappear into cyberspace, carrying with it the first spark of what would become an inferno. They thought they could steal my future. I was about to teach them exactly how wrong they were. Miss Mason? The voice on the phone was crisp, professional. This is Lionel Cunningham from MIT's Financial Services Office. We received your email regarding potential unauthorized withdrawals from your educational trust. I closed my bedroom door softly, heart pounding. Yes, thank you for calling back so quickly. The documentation you provided shows clear discrepancies. These signatures authorizing the withdrawals, they don't match your specimens? No, I said quietly, because I didn't sign them. Naomi sat cross-legged on my bed, laptop open. She gave me a thumbs up as she accessed my phone records. Her dad worked for the carrier, and she'd borrowed his login credentials. We're freezing all related accounts pending investigation, Lionel continued. Do you have any additional documentation? I'm gathering it now. I glanced at Naomi's screen. You'll have it within 24 hours. After hanging up, Naomi spun her laptop toward me. Look at this. Your mom called the bank 8 times in the week before the withdrawals started. Can you get the actual recordings? Better. She grinned. I got your brother's girlfriend Summer to record him bragging about getting saved by your parents. Check your email. The audio file played clearly. Yeah, they cleaned out Joe's college fund to cover it. Mom forged the paperwork herself. Pretty sweet deal. My stomach churned at Wyatt's lazy drawl. How'd you get Summer to help? Told her there might be legal trouble coming. She's not going down with that ship. Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Mom's voice floated up. Everyone, brunch is ready. Come celebrate Josephine's acceptance. I met Naomi's eyes. She raised an eyebrow. You're really going down there? Have to keep up appearances. I stood, smoothing my shirt. Besides, I want to watch their faces. The dining room was full of extended family, all smiles and congratulations. Aunt Marie hugged me tight. MIT, we're so proud of you, honey. Thanks. I smiled, watching Mom's fingers tighten on her wine glass. I'm just grateful for Gran and Pop's college fund. Makes it all possible. Mom's glass froze halfway to her lips. About that. Dad cleared his throat. We should discuss. The doorbell rang again. Mom practically ran to answer it. Mrs. Mason? A man's voice carried clearly. I'm Glenn Holland, executor of your parents' educational trust. May I come in? Mom's voice turned sharp. This isn't a good time. I'm afraid this can't wait. The university's financial office contacted me about irregular withdrawals. Silence fell over the dining room. Aunt Marie looked confused. Sylvia, what's he talking about? Nothing, Mom said quickly. Just a misunderstanding. Mrs. Mason. Glenn's voice hardened. The university is preparing fraud charges. All related accounts have been frozen pending investigation. Wyatt stood so fast, his chair crashed backward. You said you handled it, he hissed at Mom. You said no one would know. Sit down, Dad snapped, but the damage was done. Aunt Marie turned to me, horror dawning. Josephine, what's going on? Yes, Mom, I said quietly. Why don't you explain what's going on? Mom's makeup couldn't hide her pallor. This is a private family matter. The trust fund was private too, I cut in, until you stole it. Gasps around the table. Glenn stepped into the dining room, documents in hand. Perhaps everyone should leave, Dad suggested weakly. Why? My voice carried clearly. Isn't family supposed to help family? Isn't that what you said when you forged my signature to bail out Wyatt's gambling debts? You ungrateful little... Wyatt started forward, but Aunt Marie grabbed his arm. You did what? She demanded. We had no choice, Mom's voice cracked. He was in danger. So you sacrificed my future instead. I stood slowly. But you forgot something, Mom. I'm not as helpless as you think. Glenn cleared his throat. Mrs. Mason, the university requires full repayment within 30 days, or they'll proceed with criminal charges. Criminal? Dad whispered. Fraud? Forgery? Theft? Glenn listed off. The evidence is quite clear. Mom turned to me, tears welling. Josephine, please, we're your parents. And I'm your daughter, the one whose future you stole. I walked to the door, Naomi right behind me. Maybe you should have remembered that before you decided I was worth sacrificing. As we left, I heard Aunt Marie's disgusted voice. Sylvia, how could you? In my car, Naomi squeezed my hand. You okay? I started the engine, watching my family's world begin to crumble through the dining room windows. I'm just getting started. The university's notification of frozen assets would hit their accounts any minute. Phase 1 was complete. Now, for Phase 2. The banging on my bedroom door started at 6 a.m. Open up, Joe. We need to talk. I ignored Wyatt's demands, continuing to pack my overnight bag. After yesterday's brunch disaster, I wasn't taking chances. Come on! His fist rattled the door. You're destroying this family! That's rich, coming from you, I called back. Look, I'm sorry about the money, okay? But this legal stuff has to stop. Mom's a wreck. I yanked the door open, making him stumble. A wreck? Because her theft got exposed? Wyatt's eyes were bloodshot, his designer clothes rumpled. They were trying to help me. With my future, my money. I'm your brother. Family's supposed to... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare say family helps family right now. My phone buzzed. Naomi. Found something big. Come over ASAP. Where are you going? Wyatt demanded as I shouldered past him. Away from you. Mom intercepted me at the bottom of the stairs, still in her silk robe. Josephine, please. We can fix this. Fix what? The fraud? The forgery? Or just your reputation? We'll find another way to pay for college. You mean I should find a rich husband? I mimicked her tone. Focus on being pretty instead of smart? Her face hardened. You're being cruel. No, Mom. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Dad appeared from his study, waving papers. The bank's frozen everything, even accounts not connected to the trust. We can't pay our bills. Should have thought of that before committing fraud. 20 minutes later, I burst into Naomi's room. What did you find? She spun her monitor toward me. Remember how Summer mentioned a bookie named Glenn? Different Glenn than the trust executor? Yeah. Look who else paid him recently. She pointed to a Venmo transaction list. My mouth went dry. That's Mom's private account. She's been paying him for months, way before they drained your fund. Naomi pulled up more screenshots. And look at these text messages Summer forwarded. The texts showed Wyatt bragging about Mom handling his debts, dating back almost a year. They'd been planning this. They knew, I whispered. They always knew they'd take my money. There's more. Naomi hesitated. Your mom. She didn't just forge your signature once. She's been practicing. Summer found these in Wyatt's desk. The photos showed dozens of attempts at copying my signature. Mom had been preparing for months. My phone rang. Glenn Holland, the executor. Josephine, we've uncovered something disturbing. Your mother attempted to access the trust's remaining balance this morning using another forged document. My laugh was hollow. Of course she did. The university's legal team is escalating. They're filing official charges tomorrow. After hanging up, I sank onto Naomi's bed. What kind of mother does this? The kind who's about to face consequences. Naomi's fingers flew over her keyboard. Summer just sent more screenshots. Want to see? I nodded. The messages showed Wyatt panicking to Summer. Mom's losing it. Dad's talking about mortgaging the house. This wasn't supposed to blow up like this. Another buzz. A text from Mom. Please come home. We need to talk as a family. Don't go, Naomi warned. I won't. I started forwarding everything to my secure email. But I need one more thing from Summer. What? Evidence of exactly where my money went. Every transaction. Naomi grinned. Already on it. Summer's sending bank statements now. Your brother's girlfriend is surprisingly helpful when she's scared. Fear's a powerful motivator. I watched the documents pour in. Just ask my parents. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Marie, this time. Just heard from your mother. She's claiming this is all a misunderstanding. Is that true? I sent back the forged signature practice sheets. Her response came quickly. Oh my God. I'll call Glenn Holland myself. This ends now. Your aunt's pretty fierce, Naomi observed. Mom forgot something important, I said, watching more family members text their shock and support. She's not the only one with connections. Another text from Wyatt. You're really going to let them press charges against our own parents? I typed back 4 words. You made your choice. Then I blocked his number and turned to Naomi's computer. Show me everything else Summer sent. Every transaction, every message, every lie. It's pretty brutal, she warned. Good. I pulled up a chair. Because so am I. The documents painted a clear picture. Months of planning, deliberate deception, and a mother who chose one child's gambling debts over another child's future. They thought family meant protecting Wyatt at all costs. I was about to show them just how wrong they were. The subpoena arrived during Mom's weekly book club meeting. I watched from the kitchen as she signed for it, her perfect hostess smile cracking when she saw the contents. Ladies, I'm so sorry, she announced, voice trembling. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. After her friends left, she cornered me. Are you happy now? They're demanding all our financial records. Karma's funny that way. This isn't a game, Josephine. No, I agreed. Games are fun. This is justice. Dad sat slumped in his recliner, tie loose, looking decades older. The board at work. They're discussing suspension. Something about reputational risk. Should have thought about risks before committing fraud. The front door slammed, Wyatt storming in, wild-eyed. Summer's talking to everyone. She's showing people screenshots. What screenshots? Mom's voice sharpened. Everything. The payments, the texts about Joe's fund, He spotted me. This is your fault. My fault? I laughed. That's rich! He lunged forward, but Dad caught his arm. Son, don't! She's destroying us! Wyatt broke free, grabbing my phone from the counter. Always documenting everything, gathering evidence. The phone shattered against the wall. Feel better? I asked calmly, because that was just my old backup phone. Everything's already saved elsewhere. Mom sank into a chair. Why are you doing this to us? Why did you do it to me? I shot back. Was Wyatt's gambling more important than my education? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You chose him. Every time you chose him. My actual phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from Summer. Can we talk? I have more proof. Don't you dare meet with her, Wyatt snarled, reading over my shoulder. Or what? You'll destroy another phone? He grabbed my arm. I'm serious, Joe. Let go. Each word was ice. Wyatt, Dad warned. No, she needs to stop this. His grip tightened. You're going to drop the charges and... I twisted free, backing away. The university is pressing charges, not me, and they have everything they need. Because you gave it to them. Because you stole from me. The words exploded out. Because Mom forged my signature, and Dad helped hide it, and you just took and took and took. We're your family. Family doesn't steal futures. Mom started crying, perfectly timed tears. Please, Josephine, we can work this out privately. My phone buzzed again. Glenn Holland. Police involvement imminent. University pressing full charges. It's too late for private, I told them, heading for the stairs. Don't you walk away. Wyatt followed. You think you're so smart, but you're just a spoiled brat who... I spun around. Who what? Who wanted an education? Who trusted her parents? Who didn't gamble away everything she touched? I'm warning you. Warn away. But remember, I'm not the one facing fraud charges. Later that night, my grandmother's voice echoed in my head as I scrolled through old photos. Education, is the one thing they can never take from you, sweetheart. Oh, Gran! They tried. My phone lit up, Summer requesting a video call. Before you hang up, she said quickly, I have proof your mom knew about Wyatt's gambling for years. She's been covering his debt since he was 17. Why are you helping me? Because he's dragging me down with him. She looked away. And because what they did to you was wrong. A bit late for conscience. Better late than never. She held up a notebook. Want to see your mom's signature practice sheets? She kept them all. I did. Every damning page. Another call beeped through. Glenn Holland again. Josephine, it's official. The university's filing charges tomorrow morning. Your parents will be served at home. Any chance they'll settle? They can't. Your mother's second forgery attempt triggered mandatory reporting laws. This is now a criminal matter. After hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Mom's features, Dad's eyes, Wyatt's stubborn chin. Family, written in flesh and bone. But family wasn't supposed to feel like this. My phone buzzed one last time. Wyatt. I'm done. If they go to jail because of you, I'm just done. The threat was clear. Classic Wyatt, making his problems everyone else's responsibility. Not this time. I dialed 911. I need to report a suicide threat. Because family might not steal futures, but they don't let each other die either, even when they deserve every consequence coming their way. I listened to the dispatcher assure me help was coming, and wondered if this was what growing up felt like, protecting people who hurt you, just because blood said you should, but blood didn't make them steal my future, and it wouldn't stop me from taking it back. After Wyatt's overnight psych hold, Mom cornered me in the kitchen. Her eyes were red-rimmed, makeup perfect despite everything, always keeping up appearances. Can we talk? She pulled out a chair. Please. I kept my phone recording in my pocket as I sat. About what? I know we hurt you. Her voice cracked perfectly. We made a terrible mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. You committed fraud. We were desperate. Wyatt was in trouble. Wyatt's always in trouble. I met her eyes. But I wasn't. I did everything right. Perfect grades, scholarships, MIT acceptance. And you still chose him. He's your brother. And I'm your daughter. The words echoed off the walls. Or did you forget that while practicing my signature? She flinched. How did you... Summer found your practice sheets. Real motherly dedication there. Learning to forge your daughter's signature. You don't understand what it's like, watching your child self-destruct. No, I understand watching two parents self-destruct instead. I stood up. The university called. They're not accepting partial payments. Her face crumpled. We can't pay it all back. We mortgaged the house for Wyatt's other debts. Other debts? My stomach dropped. How much did you give him? It doesn't matter. How much? She looked away. Almost 200,000 over the years. The kitchen spun. That was more than triple my college fund. Where did you get that money? We borrowed, refinanced, your father's retirement. She wiped her eyes carefully, not smudging her mascara. The country club committee is voting today on my membership. They're saying I'm an embarrassment. Of course. She was more worried about social standing than jail time. My phone buzzed. Naomi. You need to see this. Your Aunt Marie found something big. I have to go, I told Mom. Please. She grabbed my arm. We're still family. I shook her off. Family doesn't steal futures. Naomi was waiting in her car outside. Your Aunt Marie called. Apparently your parents didn't just take your college fund. What? She handed me her tablet. They took your inheritance from your grandparents too. The college fund was just part of it. There was supposed to be more when you turned 25. The documents blurred as tears filled my eyes. How much? Another 100,000. She squeezed my hand. Your aunt found the paperwork in your grand's old files. She's furious. My phone rang. Dr. Clayton from the university's engineering department. Josephine? I heard about your situation. We have a paid internship opening in our robotics lab. It won't replace your college fund, but it might help while this legal situation resolves. I accepted immediately. One more thing, Naomi said after I hung up. Your extended family's been talking. Turns out everyone knew about the withdrawals. Your Uncle Tim even helped set up the transfers. The betrayal burned fresh. Everyone knew, and no one stopped it. She pulled up more messages. But now they're all running scared. Your Aunt Marie's threatening to expose everyone who helped hide it. My phone buzzed again. Summer sending new screenshots. Wyatt's threatening to expose your mom's other financial secrets. Thought you should know. I forwarded everything to Glenn Holland. Then I texted Naomi's address to Dad. I'm staying here until the legal issues resolve. Don't try to contact me. His response came quickly. Please don't do this to your mother. She's being ostracized by everyone. Actions have consequences, I wrote back. Maybe she should have thought about that before stealing from her daughter. I blocked his number and turned to Naomi. I need your help with something else. What? I'm writing a Reddit post about everything. I opened my laptop. People should know what family can really do to you. Go viral on them. She grinned. I like it. They wanted to silence me, make me accept their theft quietly. My fingers flew over the keyboard. Let's see how they handle their perfect family image being shattered online instead. The post began. My parents drained my college fund to enable my gambling addict brother. Now they're facing fraud charges, and I'm done staying quiet. That'll get attention, Naomi noted. Good. I hit post. They thought I'd be too ashamed to expose this publicly. They thought wrong. Within minutes, the upvotes started rolling in. Within hours, it would explode across the internet. And my mother, so concerned with appearances, would learn exactly what public shame really felt like. Sometimes karma needs a little help going viral. 2 million views, Naomi announced, refreshing the Reddit post. And that's not counting the TikTok reposts. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 3 days. Journalists, podcast hosts, even a documentary producer. Everyone wanted the story of the college student whose parents betrayed her. Your mom's trending. Naomi turned her phone toward me. Someone filmed her meltdown at the country club. The video showed Mom screaming at the membership board. You don't understand. We had no choice. The comments are brutal, Naomi scrolled. Everyone's Team Josephine. A new email notification popped up from MIT's financial office. Dear Josephine, following your viral post, an anonymous donor has offered to fund your full tuition. The donor specifically cited your resilience in the face of familial betrayal. Holy shit, Naomi breathed, reading over my shoulder. My hands shook. I can go to MIT. After everything they did to stop you. She hugged me tight. This is karma. Summer's call interrupted our celebration. Wyatt's losing it, she said without preamble. He's drinking, talking crazy. Your mom's not answering his calls. Not my problem. He's talking about your grandmother's journals. Says there's stuff in there that could hurt everyone. I sat up straight. What journals? In your old house, some box in the attic. He's heading there now. I was already grabbing my keys. Those journals were the last thing I had from Gran. Call Mom, I told Summer. Tell her to stop him. The drive home took forever. When I pulled up, Wyatt's car was already there. Inside, I heard crashing from upstairs. Where are they? Wyatt's voice echoed down the stairs. Please, Mom begged. Just calm down. I took the stairs 2 at a time. The attic door was open, boxes scattered everywhere. Wyatt stood by the window, Gran's journals in his hands. Look who showed up! Put those down. Or what? You'll expose me? He laughed bitterly. Too late, sis. You already destroyed everything. You did that yourself. Really? He flipped open a journal. Let's see what Gran really thought about this family. Bet that would make great Reddit content. Those aren't yours. Nothing's just mine anymore, right? His hands tightened on the journal. You made sure of that. My girlfriend, my reputation, my future, all gone because you couldn't keep quiet. Your future? I stepped closer. What about mine? You could have found another way to college. I needed that money. For gambling debts, which you're still racking up, aren't you? His face twisted. You don't know anything. I know everything. I pulled out my phone. Summer's been sending screenshots for weeks. Every bet, every loss, every lie. She wouldn't. She did. Just like Mom's country club friends filmed her meltdown. Just like Dad's colleagues leaked his suspension details. I met his eyes. Your actions have consequences. Welcome to mine. He hurled the journal. I ducked, but it caught my shoulder. Wyatt! Mom screamed from the doorway. Stay out of this! We both yelled. I snatched up Gran's journal, clutching it close. You don't get to destroy this, too. Already destroyed everything else, didn't you? He advanced. Little Miss Perfect, with her viral Reddit post and her MIT dreams. You think you're better than me? I think I didn't steal from family. No, you just exposed them. Got Mom kicked out of her clubs, Dad suspended me. You did that, all of it. I backed toward the stairs. I just told the truth. The truth? He laughed darkly. You want truth? How about I tell everyone what's in those journals? About Mom's affairs, Dad's creative accounting, Gran's secret... Enough. Mom's voice cracked like a whip. Wyatt, stop. Why? She didn't stop. Because she was right. Mom's words froze us both. What we did was wrong. And this... She gestured at the chaos. This is wrong, too. Wyatt stared at her. Mom, it's over. She slumped against the doorframe. The university called. They're proceeding with charges. But no more buts. She looked at me. Take the journals. They're yours anyway. I clutched them tighter, backing down the stairs. Joe, Wyatt called. If you walk out that door... You'll what? I turned back. Destroy something else? Blame someone else? Steal something else? His silence was answer enough. Outside, Naomi waited in her car. You okay? I looked down at Gran's journals, then at the house where my brother's shouts still echoed. I will be. I opened the first journal. Let's see what other truths need exposing. Because sometimes the only way to rebuild is to tear everything down first. The courthouse steps were cold under my feet as I waited for my parents to arrive. Their final hearing, the one where they'd formally confessed to avoid jail time. "You don't have to be here," Naomi reminded me. "Yes, I do." Their car pulled up. Mom emerged first, designer suit replaced by something modest from a department store. Dad followed, shoulders slumped. No sign of Wyatt. "He's still in rehab," Mom said, catching my look. 30-day program. "Voluntary?" "Court-ordered." She tried to smile. "The therapist says he's making progress." "Good for him." Inside, their lawyer waited with Glenn Holland and the university's legal team. The confession was already prepared. "Mrs. Mason," the judge began, "you understand that by signing this, you're admitting to multiple counts of fraud and forgery?" Mom's hand shook as she reached for the pen. "Yes, Your Honor." "And you, Mr. Mason, you're acknowledging your role as an accessory?" Dad nodded mutely. "The university has agreed to drop criminal charges in exchange for full restitution," the judge continued. "That amount being $67,412. Mom started crying. Real tears this time, not the calculated ones I'd grown up watching. "We've sold everything," Dad said quietly. "The house, the cars, my retirement account, it's all there." The judge turned to me. "Miss Mason, as the victim, would you like to make a statement?" I stood, unfolding the paper I'd prepared. Then I saw Mom's face, aged decades and months, stripped of makeup and pretense. I put the paper away. "They taught me that actions have consequences," I said instead. "I hope they've learned the same lesson." The judge nodded. "Very well. Proceed with the signatures." Afterward, in the hallway, Mom caught my arm. "Josephine, please, can we talk?" "About what?" "I know we can't fix this, but—" She swallowed hard. "I'm scared of losing both my children." "You should have thought about that before, I know, but Wyatt's in rehab, actually trying this time. And you're starting MIT soon. She wiped her eyes. "I don't want this to be the end." "What did you expect? That I'd forgive and forget?" "No, but maybe we could try to rebuild." "Somehow." Dad stepped forward. "We're moving to an apartment near your Aunt Marie. Starting over. If you ever wanted to visit—" "Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't push for more than I can give right now." "What can you give?" Mom asked softly. I thought about Wyatt in rehab, finally facing his demons, about Mom's designer life stripped away, about Dad's quiet acceptance of consequences. "Time," I said finally. "That's all I can offer. Time and distance." "Will you at least read our letters?" Dad pulled out 2 envelopes. "When you're ready." I took them, not promising anything. Outside, Naomi waited with Glenn Holland. "It's done," he confirmed. "The university received the full payment this morning." "Thank you," I told him. "For everything." "Your grandparents would be proud." He smiled. "They always said you were the smart one." Mom and Dad emerged from the courthouse, heading toward their old sedan, the only car they hadn't sold. "Josephine," Mom called. "I know it doesn't mean much now, but I'm sorry for everything." I nodded once, not trusting my voice. They drove away, leaving behind the ashes of our former life. "You okay?" Naomi asked. "No." I pulled out Gran's journal. "But I will be." The journal entry I'd bookmarked caught my eye. Sometimes the hardest lesson is learning that family isn't just blood, it's choice. Choose wisely, my dear Josephine. My phone buzzed. Summer sending another update. "Wyatt's doing better, actually talking about his addiction. Asked if you'd visit someday." Someday. I texted back. Another message popped up from MIT's housing office. Your dorm assignment is confirmed. Welcome to your new home. Home. Such a loaded word now. Ready to go? Naomi asked. I looked at the courthouse one last time. Inside those walls, my parents had finally faced consequences. They'd lost their house, their status, their carefully constructed facade. But maybe they'd gained something too. Truth. Accountability. A chance to rebuild without lies. Yeah, I said. I'm ready. Because sometimes justice isn't about punishment. It's about transformation. And maybe, just maybe, this was the transformation my family needed, even if it took destroying everything to make it happen. I tucked the unopened letters into my bag, next to Gran's journal. I'd read them eventually. But not today. Today was about moving forward, not looking back. And I had a future to reclaim. The MIT campus sprawled before me as I carried the last box to my dorm room. Naomi helped arrange my desk while I unpacked Gran's journals, placing them carefully on the shelf above my new engineering textbooks. My phone buzzed. A text from Summer. Wyatt finished rehab. He's staying with your Aunt Marie, working at her bookstore, still asking about you. Tell him I'm busy, I replied, then hesitated. But tell him good job on finishing the program. Your Reddit post hit 10 million views, Naomi announced, scrolling her phone. The comments are wild. People want you to write a book. Maybe someday. I pulled out the still unopened letters from my parents. Right now, I have other things to focus on. A knock at the door interrupted us. Dr. Clayton stood there, smiling. Getting settled in? Yes, thank you. I gestured at the robotics equipment already dominating half the room. The internship project is basically my second home. About that. She handed me an envelope. The anonymous donor who funded your tuition, they want to meet. My heart skipped. Really? Tomorrow at the engineering building. They're quite impressed with your resilience. After she left, Naomi raised an eyebrow. You going? Of course. I checked my phone again. Another text, this time from Mom. Saw your dorm photos online. Your room looks nice. Hope you're settling in well. It was the kind of normal, motherly text I'd always wanted. Simple. Supportive. No manipulation. You could text back, Naomi suggested. Not yet. My laptop pinged, an email from Glenn Holland. Your parents have completed all restitution payments. The case is officially closed. Also, your Aunt Marie asked me to send you this. Attached was a photo of Wyatt shelving books, actually smiling. He looked healthier, clearer. Life's weird, I told Naomi. A few months ago, they were stealing my future. Now you're living it anyway. Yeah. I picked up Gran's journal, opening to my favorite entry. Success isn't about winning, dear heart. It's about rising above what tries to sink you. Another knock, this time a floor mate. Hey, we're having a study group for Engineering 101. Want to join? Go, Naomi urged. Be normal for once. I grabbed my textbook, but paused at the letters on my desk. Mom's neat handwriting, Dad's messy scrawl. Maybe it was time. I opened Mom's first. Dearest Josephine, you were right. About everything. We failed you in every way parents can fail a child. But watching you fight for your future, watching you refuse to be diminished, it made me realize what real strength looks like. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just hoping that someday, when you've achieved all the dreams we tried to steal, you'll let us see the amazing woman you've become, even if only from a distance. Love always. Mom. Dad's was shorter. Joe, you're smarter and stronger than I ever was. Don't let our mistakes hold you back. You're going to change the world, and we'll be proud of you, even if we don't deserve to be. Dad. My phone buzzed one last time. Wyatt. Hey, sis. I know I don't deserve a response. Just wanted to say I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you. That's all. I looked around my dorm room. Engineering books, robotics projects, Grand's journals, the future I'd fought to reclaim. You okay? Naomi asked softly. I picked up my phone and typed, Thanks, Wyatt. Keep doing the work. Then to Mom. Room's coming together nicely. Engineering classes start tomorrow. Finally to Dad. I'm going to change the world. Watch me. Come on, my floor mate called. Study group's waiting. I grabbed my books, ready to join my new classmates, ready to begin. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about building yourself up so high they can't help but see you shine. Hey, Naomi. I turned back. Maybe I will write that book someday. She grinned. Start with, My parents drained my college fund. And end with, But they couldn't drain my spirit. I finished. Because that's the thing about trying to steal someone's future. Sometimes you just make them fight harder to claim it. I closed the door behind me, heading toward my study group, toward my future, toward everything they tried to take and everything I took back. One step at a time, one victory at a time, one day at a time, until finally, gloriously, undeniably, it was all mine again. And this time, no one could take it away.
The notification popped up while I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break. There it was, my sister Lily, sprawled on a pristine beach in Bali, designer sunglasses perched on her nose, cocktail in hand. The caption read, From deserved paradise. My stomach dropped before my brain could even process why. I'm Lindsay, and I've spent 33 years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't need constant validation or attention, because I learned early on that I wouldn't get it anyway. Girl, you okay? Carson peered over my cubicle wall. You look like you've seen a ghost. I turned my phone screen toward him. Remember that emergency credit card I gave my parents? His eyes widened. No way. Way. I pulled up my banking app, hands shaking. The charges started 5 days ago. First-class flights to Bali, luxury resort deposits, spa treatments, designer shopping sprees. $14,000 and counting. I'm going to be sick, I muttered, gripping my desk. Call them, Carson said. Right now. I did. Mom answered on the third ring, her voice syrupy sweet. Darling, what a surprise. Mom, why is Lily in Bali on my credit card? Oh, a pause. Well, sweetheart, she's been under so much stress lately. You know how hard she works at that boutique. She needed this. That card was for emergencies only. We discussed this. You agreed. This was an emergency, Lindsay. Her mental health. Stop. My voice came out sharper than I'd ever used with her. A vacation is not an emergency. You had no right. Don't be selfish, dear. You make 6 figures. You can afford it. Besides, you never treat your sister to anything. The familiar guilt trip. Classic mom. I closed my eyes, remembering all the times this pattern had played out before. When they drained my first savings account for Lily's dance lessons. When they borrowed my car and let her total it. When they convinced me to co-sign Lily's apartment lease, only to have her skip town 3 months later. Put Dad on the phone. He's busy. Mom. Wallace. I heard her call. Your daughter's being difficult again. Dad's gruff voice came through. What's the problem now, Lindsay? The problem is you're stealing from me. Again. Don't be dramatic. We're family. Family helps each other. Family doesn't commit credit card fraud. He scoffed. Fraud? We raised you, put a roof over your head, sent you to college. I paid my own way through college. I worked 3 jobs while Lily got a free ride. Here we go again with the jealousy, Mom chimed in. I thought you'd outgrown this phase. My hand tightened around the phone. 20 years of therapy had taught me to recognize this game. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the way they twisted everything to make me the villain. Listen carefully, I said, my voice eerily calm. You have 24 hours to get Lily on a flight home and pay back every cent, or I'm reporting this as fraud. You wouldn't dare, Mom whispered. Try me. After everything we've done for you, Dad's voice rose. This is how you repay us? I laughed, a hollow, broken sound. Repay you? For what? The emotional neglect? The financial abuse? Making me feel like I was never good enough? Drama queen, Lily's voice suddenly joined the call. Just because you're jealous of my vacation. Are jealous? I stood up, ignoring the concerned looks from my coworkers. I'm not jealous, Lily. I'm done. Done being the family ATM. Done watching you all take advantage of my success while treating me like garbage. Done pretending we're a normal family when we're anything but. Lindsay, Mom's voice turned pleading. Let's not be hasty. We can work something out. No, we can't. I took a deep breath. Enjoy paradise while it lasts. I hung up and immediately opened my banking app. Carson watched as I navigated to the card services section. You sure about this? He asked quietly. Another Instagram notification. Lily lounging by an infinity pool. Mop blessed. Family first. I clicked cancel card without hesitation. They made their choice, I said, watching the confirmation screen load. Now they can live with it. Carson squeezed my shoulder. Karma's a bitch. No, I replied, picking up my phone to call the fraud department. I am. The bank's fraud department put me on hold, and I used those minutes to screenshot every single charge. First-class tickets, $4,190. Resort deposit, $3,500. Day spa packages, $1,200. The numbers kept climbing, each one a fresh slap in the face. You should see what else she's posting, Carson said, still scrolling through Instagram. Heidi just shared a story of them getting matching designer bags. I leaned over to look. There was my sister, holding up a cream-colored leather bag that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. The caption read, Shopping therapy with my bestie. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for the early birthday surprise. The hold music cut off. This is Max from the fraud department. How can I assist you today? I straightened in my chair. I need to report unauthorized charges on my credit card. Can you describe the situation? I gave my parents an emergency-only credit card. They're currently using it to fund my sister's luxury vacation in Bali. I never authorized this. I see the charges here. Keys clicked in the background. That's substantial spending. Have you contacted the cardholders? Yes. They refused to stop or pay it back. And you want to press charges? The question hung in the air. Carson raised an eyebrow at me. Yes, I said firmly. I want to press charges. Max's tone turned professional. I'll freeze the card immediately and open an investigation. You'll need to file a formal dispute for each charge. Given the amount and relationship involved, this may lead to criminal proceedings. Are you prepared for that? Absolutely. My phone buzzed with texts while Max walked me through the procedure. I ignored them all. The card is now frozen, Max said. Any pending charges will be declined. I'm sending you dispute forms now. Please complete them within 24 hours. Thank you. I hung up and finally looked at my messages. Mom, Lindsay, the card isn't working. Fix it immediately. Mom, this is childish behavior. Mom, your sister is stranded. Lily, WTF? My spa appointment was rejected. Dad, call me now. They're panicking, I told Carson, showing him the messages. Good, he said. Let them squirm. My phone rang. Dad again. I answered and put it on speaker. What the hell do you think you're doing? He demanded. Exactly what I said I would. The card is canceled and I've reported it as fraud. You ungrateful little... He caught himself. Do you have any idea what this will do to our credit? Probably the same thing you did to mine when I was 17. I shot back. Remember that credit card you opened in my name? The one I didn't know about until collectors started calling? That was different. How? How was it different? We needed it for Lily's dance competition. Of course you did. I laughed bitterly. It's always about Lily, Mom's voice cut in. The hotel is threatening to call the police if we don't pay. Is that what you want? Your sister in a foreign jail? Should have thought about that before stealing from me. We didn't steal, Lily shrieked in the background. Mom and Dad said it was okay. They lied, just like they always do. Please, Mom's voice turned sugary. We can work this out as a family. Just unfreeze the card and we'll discuss repayment when we get home. No discussion needed. The bank's fraud department is handling it now. You called the bank? Dad's voice shook with rage. After everything we've sacrificed for you. Sacrificed? The word hit a nerve. What exactly have you sacrificed? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm the only one who's ever sacrificed anything in this family. That's not fair. Fair? I stood up, pacing my office. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you emptied my college fund for Lily's car? Was it fair when you forged my signature on loan documents? Was it fair when you... Enough! Dad roared. You fix this right now, or you're no longer part of this family. The threat hung there. Decades of manipulation distilled into 9 words. In the past, it would have worked. I would have caved, fixed everything, apologized for being difficult. Not today. You can't fire me from a job I quit 20 years ago, I said quietly. Enjoy explaining this to the fraud investigators. I hung up and blocked their numbers. You okay? Carson asked softly. My phone dinged with an email notification. Max from the bank. Fraud investigation case. Dear 2847. Official notice. No, I replied, opening the email. But I will be. I left work early, my laptop tucked under my arm and a plan forming in my mind. Carson followed me to my car. You're not done, are you? He asked, watching me pull up the resort's website. Not even close. I dialed the international number for the Paradise Bay Resort Bali. After 3 rings, a polished voice answered, Paradise Bay Resort. This is Eric speaking. How may I assist you? Hi, Eric. I'm calling about guests staying at your resort, Virginia and Wallace, with their daughter Lily. I'm the card holder whose credit card they're using. Yes, we've had some issues with their payments today. That's because they're using my card fraudulently. I've already filed reports with my bank, but I wanted to give you a heads up directly. There was a pause. I see. This is concerning. Would you be willing to email me the documentation? Already composing it. I balanced my phone while typing. I'm sending proof of card ownership, the fraud report number, and screenshots of them admitting they used it without authorization. Much appreciated. We take fraud very seriously here. I'm sure you do, which is why I thought you should know. They're planning to skip out on the remaining balance. They have a history of this. Eric's voice turned sharp. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll handle it immediately. After hanging up, I turned to Carson. That should get the ball rolling. You're scary when you're strategic, he said, half admiring, half concerned. What's next? Now we wait. We didn't wait long. Within an hour, Heidi's Instagram stories provided live updates. OMG, so awkward. Management just confronted them at dinner. Followed by, security's involved now. This is insane. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown international number. How dare you embarrass us like this? The hotel manager is threatening legal action. Mom, I blocked that number too. Carson came over that evening with wine and takeout. We sat on my couch, watching the chaos unfold through social media updates. Look at this one, he said, showing me Lily's latest post. When people you trust show their true colors. Har betrayed toxic a family. Rich, coming from her. I took a long sip of wine. She's posted 3 times about being betrayed, but nothing about stealing 14 grand. The comments are turning against them, though. People are asking questions. He was right. Under Lily's latest post, her followers weren't buying the victim act. Wait, didn't you say this was a gift from your parents? Using someone else's credit card isn't cool. This is fraud, girl. My email pinged. Another message from Max at the bank. Additional charges attempted and declined. Documentation needed for criminal investigation. Criminal investigation, Carson repeated slowly. Lynn, are you sure you want to take it this far? I pulled out my old journal from the bookshelf, flipping to the pages where I documented every financial abuse from my teenage years. They took out loans in my name when I was 17, opened credit cards, ruined my credit before I could even start building it. It took me years to fix the damage. I remember. You lived on ramen while working 3 jobs. Meanwhile, they bought Lily a car, paid for her dance classes, funded her influencer lifestyle. I closed the journal. They're not stopping, Carson. They never have. Someone has to make them. My phone buzzed. Eric from the resort. Ms. Lindsay, we've contained the situation. Your parents are being moved to a holding room until payment arrangements are made. We've also notified local authorities about potential fraud. Thank you, Eric. Please send any documentation to the email I provided. Already done, and, if I may say, I've dealt with many family fraud cases. You're doing the right thing. After hanging up, I curled deeper into my couch, suddenly exhausted. Why doesn't it feel right then? Carson topped off my wine. Because you're a good person who was forced to do something hard. But sometimes hard things are necessary. They're going to hate me forever. They already hated who you really were. They just loved what they could take from you. My phone lit up with another blocked message, somehow getting through. You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I deleted it without responding. You know what the worst part is? I told Carson, staring at my wine glass. Part of me still wishes they'd just say sorry. Mean it for once. Choose me for once. That's not the worst part, he said gently. The worst part is that they never will, and you're finally accepting that. Another email from Max. Investigation proceeding. Prepare for formal statements. No turning back now, I whispered. Carson squeezed my hand. Good. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. Heidi's Instagram stories told the whole saga. Security just deactivated their room keys. Lily's crying in the lobby. This is so messy. They're saying they have to leave today. I scrolled through while making coffee, each update more dramatic than the last. Then came Lily's own post, a tearful selfie in the resort's marble bathroom. When your own sister betrays you. But Mom and Dad still have my back. Some people are just jealous of others' happiness. Toxic, narcissistic sibling. The comments were brutal. Girl, you stole from her. Using someone's credit card without permission is literally a crime. The audacity to play victim after committing fraud. My work phone rang. Max from the bank. Morning, Lindsay. We've got some developments. The resort sent over their documentation, including security footage of your parents explicitly claiming to be you when they first checked in. I nearly dropped my coffee. They what? Your mother presented herself as Lindsay at check-in. That elevates this from unauthorized use to identity theft. Jesus Christ. There's more. We found a pattern of similar behavior dating back several years. Different cards, different banks. You're not their first victim. The room spun slightly. What are you saying? I'm saying this is now a federal investigation. An agent will contact you today. I sat down hard on my kitchen stool. Will they go to jail? That depends on the prosecutor, but with the multiple instances of fraud and identity theft, it's possible. After hanging up, I called Carson. They pretended to be me, I said when he answered. At the resort? They actually pretended to be me. Holy shit. Max says it's going federal. They might go to jail. Lynn, his voice was careful. Are you okay? Before I could answer, my email pinged. A message from Eric. Your parents are causing a scene in the lobby. They're demanding to stay until their original checkout date, claiming you're mentally unstable and making false accusations. We've called local authorities. Would you like to press additional charges for defamation? I forwarded the email to Max without responding. My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Mom. Against my better judgment, I played it. Lindsay, they're treating us like criminals. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. If anything happens to him, it's on your head. How could you do this to your own family? After everything we've sacrificed, Lily's absolutely devastated. Her followers are attacking her because of your lies. Call me back immediately and fix this mess. Delete. Another voicemail from Dad. You think you're clever, don't you? Getting the feds involved? Just wait until everyone knows what an ungrateful, spiteful daughter you really are. You're dead to us. Dead. Delete. A text from Lily. My sponsorship deals are tanking BC of you. Hope are happy now that you've ruined my career. Mom and Dad should have left you at the hospital. Block. Carson arrived at my apartment 20 minutes later with breakfast burritos and coffee. Eat, he ordered. You look like hell. Thanks, I muttered, unwrapping a burrito. Have you seen the latest? He pulled up Heidi's stories. My parents being escorted out by resort security, Lily wailing dramatically in the background, designer luggage scattered across the lobby floor. At least they're getting content out of it, I said dryly. Lynn. Carson put down his phone. This is bigger than we thought. If the feds are involved, I know. I pushed my burrito away. But what was I supposed to do? Let them keep stealing from me? Keep pretending to be me? No, but... My phone rang. Unknown number. This is Special Agent Roberts with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Am I speaking with Lindsay? I caught Carson's eye as I answered. Yes, this is Lindsay. We've received concerning documentation from your bank regarding multiple instances of identity theft and credit card fraud. Are you willing to make a formal statement? I thought about every maxed out card, every drained account, every time they'd smiled while stealing my future, every time they'd called me selfish for saying no, every time they'd chosen Lily. Yes, I said firmly. I'll tell you everything. Carson reached across the table and squeezed my hand as I began to speak. On my laptop, Heidi posted one final update. Cops just showed up. This isn't about credit cards anymore. Something way bigger is happening. She had no idea. 3 days after my parents' forced exodus from Bali, a courier delivered a thick envelope to my office. Inside was a cease and desist letter from their lawyer, demanding I cease all defamatory statements and malicious actions against the family. I was still reading when Carson burst into my office. Have you seen the news? He held up his phone, showing a local news website. The headline made my stomach drop. Local influencers' parents arrested in multi-state financial fraud investigation. Holy shit, I whispered. It gets better. He scrolled down. They found evidence of at least 12 other victims. Credit card fraud, identity theft, loan scams. They've been doing this for years. My desk phone rang. Agent Roberts. Your parents were arrested this morning, she said without preamble. We found documents in their home indicating a pattern of financial fraud dating back 2 decades. Multiple victims, including several family members. I gripped the phone tighter. How much? Initial estimates suggest over $300,000. The room tilted slightly. Carson steadied my chair. We'll need you to come in, Agent Roberts continued. There's something else. We found credit applications in your name from as recently as last month. What? But I've been monitoring my credit. They hadn't submitted them yet. Looks like they were planning something big. After hanging up, I showed Carson the cease and desist letter. Guess this is pretty useless now. Lindsay! A shrill voice made us both jump. Lily stood in my office doorway, mascara streaking down her face. How could you? How could I? I stood up slowly. How could you? There are parents, she stormed in, throwing her designer bag onto my desk. The police took Dad's passport. Mom's in jail. Everyone's talking about it online. Maybe they shouldn't have committed federal crimes. They were trying to help me, Lily shrieked. My career was taking off. I needed... You needed? I cut her off. You needed to steal from me? To let them destroy my credit? To watch them pretend to be me? You're just jealous because they love me more. The office went dead silent. Even Lily seemed shocked by her words. You're right, I said quietly. They do love you more. They love you so much they committed felonies for you. And now they're going to prison for it. This is all your fault. She jabbed a finger at me. You could have just helped me. That's what family does. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't commit fraud. Family doesn't... Miss? My assistant poked her head in. There's a Detective Martinez here to see you. A tall woman in a suit entered, badge visible on her belt. Lily, we need you to come with us. We have some questions about your involvement in your parents' financial schemes. Lily's face went white. What? No, I didn't. Lindsay, tell them. I sat back down at my desk. I think you should go with the detective, Lily. But I'm your sister. Yes, I met her eyes. You are, and that's why this hurts so much. Detective Martinez gently took Lily's arm. Let's go, miss. I hate you, Lily screamed as she was let out. I hate you. You've ruined everything. Carson closed my office door, muffling her continued shrieks. You okay? No. I picked up my phone. Dozens of missed calls from relatives, former family friends, my parents' lawyer. But I will be. A new email popped up from Max at the bank. Federal investigators found evidence of extensive fraud. Your parents' accounts have been frozen. Given your status as primary victim, would you like to pursue additional civil charges? What are you going to do? Carson asked. I thought about 17-year-old me, crying over destroyed credit, about working 3 jobs while Lily got everything handed to her, about every time they'd smiled while taking more. I'm going to tell the truth, I said, hitting reply. All of it. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom, somehow from a new number. We'll never forgive you for this. You've destroyed this family. I typed back one final message before blocking the number. No, Mom. You destroyed this family. I just exposed it. Carson squeezed my shoulder as I pressed send. Karma's finally catching up. Yeah, I said, watching Lily being escorted into a police car through my office window. It really is. The FBI's Financial Crimes Office was cold and sterile. Agent Roberts spread dozens of documents across the metal table while Carson sat beside me for support. These are credit card applications in your name from when you were 17. She pointed to a stack. Your mother's handwriting, your father's fingerprints. But here's where it gets interesting. She played an audio file from her laptop. Mom's voice filled the room. Of course we'll pay it back, just like we did with Lindsay's cards. She never even knew about most of them. So trusting. That girl. My hands started shaking. Carson gripped my arm. This was recorded last month, Agent Roberts explained. A wiretap from another investigation caught them planning their next scheme. They were discussing it with someone else. Who? Your sister. She slid over a transcript. Lily was more involved than we initially thought. She knew about the fraud since she was 16, sometimes helped orchestrate it. I scanned the transcript, my vision blurring. Lily, Just use Lindsay's info again. She never checks her credit report anyway. Virginia. We already opened 2 cards this month. Lily. So? She makes enough to cover it. Besides, she owes me after that sponsorship deal fell through. There's more, Agent Roberts continued. We found a storage unit in your father's name. Inside were boxes of financial documents spanning 20 years. Credit cards, loans, even mortgage applications, all using stolen identities. She pushed forward more papers. Most victims were family members. Your Aunt Margaret, your cousin Robert, even your grandmother. Grandma Rose. My voice cracked. She died thinking she'd somehow racked up $50,000 in debt. They took advantage of her dementia, Agent Roberts confirmed, used her information to open multiple accounts. Carson muttered something under his breath that sounded like monsters. We need your help, Agent Roberts leaned forward. These documents prove decades of systematic fraud, but your testimony could ensure maximum sentences. Are you willing to testify? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A voicemail from an unknown number. I played it on speaker. Lindsay, it's Aunt Paula. I just found out about everything. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you years ago when you said something wasn't right with their spending. They did the same thing to me. Maxed out cards in my name. I was too ashamed to tell anyone. Please call me back. Delete. Another message played automatically. Hey, it's Cousin Robert. Just learned about the investigation. Can't believe they used Grandma Rose like that. She died thinking she'd failed us all. Call me if you need anything. We're all behind you. Delete. The messages kept coming. Family members, one after another, sharing similar stories. Each one a thread in a tapestry of lies and manipulation. They destroyed so many lives, I whispered. Yes, Agent Roberts agreed. But you can help stop them. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local influencer Lily arrested as co-conspirator in family fraud scheme. Below it was her last Instagram post, made just before her arrest. The truth will come out. My sister is just jealous and vindictive. Kraus, free my parents. The comments were merciless. Girl, you helped steal from your own grandmother. Hope you look good in orange. Karma coming for the whole family. What happens now? I asked Agent Roberts. With your testimony? They're looking at significant federal time. Your sister, too, though she might get a lighter sentence as a cooperating witness. Is she cooperating? No. She's still claiming innocence. Says you framed them all out of jealousy. I laughed, a hollow sound. Of course she is. There's one more thing. Agent Roberts pulled out a final document. We found this in their house. It's a recording of your mother from about a month ago. I think you should hear it. She pressed play. Lindsay's always been our backup plan. So responsible, so successful. When things get tight, we just use her information. She's too afraid of losing us to ever say no. Besides, she owes us. We gave her life. She's our insurance policy. The recording stopped. The room felt airless. Insurance policy, I repeated numbly. Carson's hand found mine under the table. You're not their insurance policy anymore. Agent Roberts slid a statement form across the table. Ready to tell your story? I picked up the pen, thinking of Grandma Rose dying in shame, of Aunt Paula's quiet confession, of every family member they'd exploited, of 17-year-old me, crying over destroyed credit. Yes, I said, starting to write. I'm ready to tell everything. The courthouse was packed for the sentencing hearing. I sat in the front row with Carson, watching my parents and Lily in their matching orange jumpsuits. Mom kept trying to catch my eye. I stared straight ahead. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Martinez took her seat, reviewing the papers before her. This is one of the most egregious cases of familial financial fraud I've seen in my 20 years on the bench. Mom started crying softly. Lily's lawyer patted her hand. The evidence shows a systematic pattern of identity theft and fraud spanning 2 decades. the judge continued. Multiple victims, all family members. The defendants preyed upon the trust and loyalty of their own relatives. Dad's attorney stood up. Your Honor, my clients recognize their mistakes. Mistakes? Judge Martinez cut him off. Mr. Wallace deliberately stole his mother's identity while she suffered from dementia. Mrs. Virginia orchestrated elaborate schemes to defraud her own daughter. And young Lily here helped target vulnerable family members for her own profit. These weren't mistakes. These were calculated crimes. The judge turned to my parents. Would you like to make a statement before sentencing? Mom stood, dabbing her eyes. Your Honor, everything we did was for our family, for our daughters. We only wanted to give Lily everything she wanted, I interrupted, standing up, while stealing from me and everyone else. Order, Judge Martinez warned, but let me continue. You stole my identity when I was 17. You destroyed Grandma Rose's final years. You betrayed every person who ever trusted you, and you're still lying about why. Mom's face hardened. We gave you everything. You gave me trauma, I shot back. You gave me trust issues. You gave me years of therapy bills. Enough. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Mrs. Virginia, Mr. Wallace, the court sentences you each to 8 years in federal prison, plus restitution of all stolen funds. Mom collapsed into her chair. Dad's face went red. As for you, Lily, the judge continued, despite your youth, you were an active participant in these schemes. 4 years in federal prison, plus restitution. No! Lily shrieked. You can't. My followers will have to find someone else to influence, Judge Martinez finished. Bailiff, remove the defendants. As they were led away, Mom turned to me one last time. Lindsay, please, we're still your family. I stood up, my voice carrying across the courtroom. No, you're just people who share my DNA, and now you're convicted felons. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Carson acted as a buffer while I pushed through to my car. Lindsay, how does it feel to send your family to prison? Any comment on Lily's social media claims that you framed them? Will you be writing a book about this? I stopped at my car door. My only comment is this. Financial abuse is still abuse. Family or not, no one has the right to steal your identity or exploit your trust. If you're a victim, speak up. Don't let shame keep you silent. Back home, I opened my laptop to find emails from other fraud victims. Your story gave me courage to report my brother. Thank you for showing me it's okay to hold family accountable. You helped me understand it wasn't my fault. Carson brought over dinner and wine. How are you holding up? Look at this. I showed him my phone. Lily's final Instagram post before being taken into custody. My sister destroyed our family because she was jealous of my success. But the truth will come out. I'll be writing a tell-all book from prison. Free Lily, now I'll serve the real story. The comments were disabled, but the likes kept dropping. She still doesn't get it, I said, putting down my phone. None of them do, because that would require admitting they're wrong. Carson poured more wine. Some people never can. My phone rang. Agent Roberts. Lindsay, we found more victims. 3 distant cousins, an elderly aunt. Would you be willing to help us contact them? Sometimes it's easier hearing it from family. I thought about Grandma Rose, about 17-year-old me, about every person they'd betrayed while smiling. Yes, I said, they deserve to know the truth. After hanging up, I blocked every number associated with my parents and Lily. Carson watched me do it. No more olive branches? He asked. No more branches, no more trees, no more forest. I deleted their contact info. They made their choices. Now they can live with them. And you? I looked at the emails from other victims, at the community of survivors forming. I'm going to live for me. Finally. The sun was setting outside my window, casting long shadows. But for the first time in years, I felt light. The morning sun streamed through my office window as I finished typing my final email to Agent Roberts. The victim support group had grown to over 30 people, all family members, all carrying similar stories of betrayal and fraud. My phone buzzed, a text from Carson. "Turn on Channel 7 now." I pulled up the local news live stream on my laptop. There was Lily, being interviewed from prison in her orange jumpsuit. "I've had time to reflect," she was saying, tears streaming down her face. "I want to apologize to everyone we hurt, especially my sister Lindsay. She tried to warn us, tried to stop us, and we just kept taking advantage. I'm so sorry." "Too little, too late," I muttered, closing the stream. Another message from Carson. "Don't believe her crocodile tears. Check her commissary account." I logged into the prison system website. Sure enough, sympathetic followers had been sending Lily money after her emotional interview, over $2,000 already. My office phone rang, a familiar number. "Hi, Aunt Paula," I answered. "How was the support group meeting?" "Powerful," she said. "Robert shared his story. Did you know they used his identity to buy that boat they always bragged about? The one they said was a business investment? God. We're all filing civil suits," she continued. "The lawyers think we can recover most of the stolen money. Will you testify again?" Before I could answer, my email pinged. A message from Mom, somehow sent from prison. "Dearest Lindsay, your father had a health scare yesterday. The doctors say his heart is weak. Please reconsider your position. We're still your parents. Family forgives. Love, Mom." I forwarded it to Agent Roberts with one line. "Add emotional manipulation to their tactics. Lindsay," Aunt Paula was still waiting, "will you help us?" I thought about Mom's letter, about Lily's fake tears, about every manipulation, every lie, every stolen dollar. "Yes," I said, "I'll testify. They need to face everything they've done." My assistant knocked on my door. "Your next appointment is here." A young woman entered, barely 20, clutching a folder of bank statements. One of the victims Agent Roberts had found. "Thanks for meeting me," she said nervously. "I didn't know where else to go. My mom opened credit cards in my name and—" "I know," I interrupted gently. "Mine did too. Let me show you how to fight back." As I walked her through the steps, filing reports, contacting banks, documenting everything, I saw my younger self in her trembling hands and uncertain eyes. My phone lit up with another prison email notification. Dad this time. "Your mother's crying herself to sleep every night. Lily's struggling. Is this what you wanted? To destroy your family?" Delete. The young woman looked up from her paperwork. "Aren't you scared? Going against your whole family like this?" "No," I said, surprising myself with how true it felt. "I'm not scared anymore. They don't have power over me." "How?" "Because I finally realized something. Family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about respect, trust, and genuine love. They never gave me any of those things." My phone buzzed. Carson sending a link to Lily's latest prison interview. My sister's forgiveness would mean everything. Delete. "They'll keep trying," I told the young woman. "They'll guilt you, manipulate you, claim you're destroying the family. But remember, you didn't destroy anything. You're just exposing what was already broken." She nodded, wiping away tears. "Thank you." After she left, I called Carson. "You okay?" he asked. "Saw Lily's performance?" "I'm better than okay," I said, looking at the sunset through my window. "I'm free. No regrets." I thought about the support group, growing stronger every week. About the young woman who just left my office, armed with knowledge and courage. About my own heart, finally beating without fear. "They say karma comes for everyone eventually," I said. "Sometimes it just needs a little help." "And sometimes," Carson added, "karma looks a lot like truth." I smiled, watching the last rays of sun paint the sky. "Yeah, it really does." My phone lit up one final time. Another prison email. I deleted it without reading, then blocked the entire domain. Some chapters needed to end for others to begin, and this ending? It felt exactly right.
I stood in the shadows of the grand ballroom, watching my sister twirl in her $10,000 wedding dress while my credit score burned. The crystal chandeliers caught every sparkle of her tiara, and her laughter echoed off the marble floors, the same laugh she'd used 3 months ago when she'd begged me to co-sign her loan. My name is Zlata, and I'm the responsible sister, the boring one, the one who always comes through in a crisis. Tonight, I'm also the one holding a ticking time bomb disguised as a loan agreement. Zlata, darling, why aren't you dancing? My mother Eleanor's voice carried that familiar note of disapproval. She gestured to the crowded dance floor where Sierra and her new husband Eric were lost in their own world. Someone has to make sure the vendors get paid, I replied, tapping my tablet. Unless you'd like to handle the final payments? She wrinkled her nose and adjusted her designer shawl. That's what you're good at, dear. Numbers. Sierra's always been our creative spirit. I bit back the response I'd been swallowing for 27 years. Instead, I smiled and pulled up the loan document on my screen, checking for the 100th time that the clause was still there, buried in the fine print like a landmine. Remember when she first showed us the venue? My mother continued, misreading my silence for nostalgia. She just knew it had to be here. Worth every penny. Every penny. 50,000 of them, to be exact. I remembered that day too, but differently. Please, Zlata, Sierra had sobbed, mascara running down her cheeks. The bank won't approve us without a cosigner. You're the only one with good enough credit. That's because I actually pay my bills, I'd said. It's what family does, our father had chimed in from his armchair, not looking up from his newspaper. Your sister would do the same for you. I'd almost laughed at that. Sierra had never done anything for anyone except herself. I'll pay every payment, I swear, Sierra had promised, clutching my hands. Eric's startup is about to take off, and we'll be loaded. Please, please, please. Now I watched Eric whisper something in Sierra's ear, making her giggle. He caught my eye across the room and raised his champagne glass with a wink. I raised mine back, wondering if he knew about the clause yet, wondering if either of them had actually read the paperwork before signing it. Mrs. Foster, a wedding planner materialized beside me. The photographer wants to know if we're still doing the sunset photos on the terrace. Of course we are, Sierra appeared, dragging Eric by the hand. Zlata, you're in these too. You have to. You made all this possible. If she only knew how true that was. I let myself be pulled outside. The setting sun painted everything gold, including Sierra's perfect face as she posed against the balustrade. Our parents joined us, and the photographer arranged us like dolls. The happy family, the perfect wedding, the American dream. Closer together, the photographer called. Big smiles. This is a celebration. I smiled, thinking about the email I'd received that morning from Genesis, my friend in legal. It's bulletproof, she'd written. The clause is active the moment they miss a payment. If they leave the country without setting up a payment plan, liability reverts to the original sponsors, your parents. They signed it too, remember? I remembered. I remembered every signature, every tear-filled manipulation, every guilt trip that had led to this moment. One more, the photographer called. Everyone say, happily ever after. Sierra threw her arms around me, champagne on her breath. I love you so much, sis. You're the best, the absolute best. Over her shoulder, I watched Eric check his phone, his face momentarily serious, before he slipped it back into his pocket. 3 weeks ago, I'd seen him book 2 one-way tickets to a country with no extradition treaty. He didn't know I knew. Back in my hotel room that night, I opened my laptop one final time. The loan agreement glowed on the screen, signatures clear at the bottom, Sierra's loopy scrawl, Eric's confident slash, my parents' hasty scribbles, and my own careful print. Below them all, the clause waited like a coiled snake. I touched the screen gently. Let's see who pays now. My phone buzzed. A text from Sierra. Thank you for everything. You're the best sister anyone could ask for. Love you forever. I didn't reply. Instead, I closed my laptop and poured myself a drink. The real wedding gift was still coming, and I intended to be very, very patient while I waited to deliver it. 6 months after the wedding, I sat in my favorite coffee shop, staring at my phone's call log. 32 attempted calls to Sierra, 16 to Eric, and 48 unanswered text messages. The first loan payment was 3 weeks overdue. You're obsessing again, Genesis said, sliding into the seat across from me with 2 fresh lattes. How many times have you checked Instagram today? I picked up my phone, opened the app, and turned it to show her. Sierra's latest post showed her and Eric on some tropical beach, cocktails in hand. The caption read, "Living our best life, debt-free and destiny-bound. Chaque blessed, chaque new life, chaque no regrets." Genesis's perfectly manicured nails drummed against the table. You knew this would happen. Knowing doesn't make it sting less. I switched to my messages. Look what my mother sent this morning. The text read, "The bank called again. Please handle this, Zlata. You know how your father's blood pressure gets when he's stressed." "Have you told them about the clause yet?" Genesis asked. "Not yet. I'm waiting for—" My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Sierra. I put it on speaker. "Hey sis, sorry I've been so hard to reach. The Wi-Fi here is just awful. Listen, about those payment notices you keep forwarding, I know you'll figure it out. You always do. You're so good with money stuff. Anyway, love you. Don't work too hard." Genesis's eyes widened. The audacity— "Wait for it," I said, holding up a finger. The message continued. "Oh, and could you maybe stop calling so much? It's kind of desperate, and Eric says it's bringing down our vibe. Thanks. Kisses." I deleted the message while Genesis muttered something unprintable. "You're sure you want to go through with this?" she asked. "Legally, you're safe. Morally, let them drown." "It's not about them drowning," I said, pulling up my email. "It's about making sure everyone gets wet." My phone buzzed again. My mother. "Zlata, please call me. The bank is being very insistent." I showed Genesis the draft email I'd prepared for the loan agency. Attached was the contract with the clause highlighted, along with proof of Sierra and Eric's departure from the country. "Send it," Genesis said firmly. "Stop torturing yourself." I hesitated, my finger hovering over the send button. Once you do this, you'll finally be free." Genesis reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Remember what they did to you with Dad's medical bills? The college fund they borrowed for Sierra's art school? The down payment for her first car?" My phone lit up with another Instagram notification. Sierra had posted again. "Some people just can't handle seeing others living their dreams. Your toxic family boundaries. Blessed." I hit send. "Done," I said, feeling oddly hollow. "Now we wait." Genesis raised her coffee cup. "To karma." "To contracts," I corrected, clinking my cup against hers. That evening, I sat in my apartment, watching the sunset through my window when my phone rang. It was Stefan, my ex-boyfriend. "I just saw Sierra's posts," he said without preamble. "Are you okay? Why wouldn't I be?" I kept my voice neutral. Stefan had been there during the medical bills crisis, had watched me empty my savings for my father's heart surgery, while Sierra took a spontaneous trip to Europe. "Because you always take care of everyone," he said softly. "And no one ever takes care of you." I thought about the email I'd sent, about the clause that would soon detonate in my parents' lap. "That's changing." "Good," he said. "It's about time." After we hung up, I opened my laptop and checked my email. The loan agency had already responded. "Dear Ms. Zlata, we acknowledge receipt of your documentation regarding the liability reassignment clause. Our legal team will review and proceed accordingly. Expect contact within 48 hours. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Eric. Real nice, Zlata. Sierra's crying. Hope you're happy. I typed back. You should have read the fine print. Then I blocked both their numbers, poured myself a glass of wine, and pulled up the folder where I'd kept every receipt, every transfer, every record of money I'd given to my family over the years. The total could have bought me a house. Instead, it had bought me this moment, waiting for the hammer to fall on the people who had taken me for granted for so long. My mother's words echoed in my head. It's what family does. I smiled into my wine glass. Yes, Mother. This is exactly what family does. The memory of drafting the clause was still crystal clear. I'd sat in Genesis's living room 3 months before the wedding, surrounded by takeout containers and legal documents, while she connected me with her lawyer friend on speakerphone. You want it ironclad, the lawyer had said. Something they can't wiggle out of. Genesis had topped off my wine glass. Tell him about the medical bills again. $28,000, I'd said. My entire savings gone because Sierra needed a trip to find herself the same month Dad needed surgery. And the college fund? Genesis prompted. Borrowed, never returned. Sierra's art school dream was apparently more important than my MBA. The lawyer had hummed thoughtfully. We can work with this. The key is making it seem benign enough that they'll sign without questioning, but specific enough to be legally binding. Now, sitting at my desk at work, I pulled up the final version we'd crafted. In the event of default, should the primary borrower leave the country without establishing a payment plan, all liability transfers to the original co-signing sponsors, who acknowledge full responsibility for the remaining balance. Simple, clean, devastating. My office phone rang. Zlata speaking. The clause is active. It was Genesis. Just got word from legal. Your parents are being contacted today. I checked my email. Sure enough, there was a message from the loan agency. Per Section 7.3 of the agreement, liability has been transferred to Elena and Wilfred. Initial contact will be made within 24 hours. How long do you think until... Genesis started. My cell phone lit up with my mother's number. Got to go, I said. It's starting. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello, Mother. What is this? Her voice was shrill. These people are saying we owe $50,000. This must be a mistake. No mistake. Check your email. I sent you a copy of the contract you signed. But I heard papers rustling. We only signed as witnesses. Read Section 7.3, I said calmly. More rustling. Then silence. You tricked us, she whispered. No, Mother. I learned from the best. Remember what you told me? It's what family does. Your father's blood pressure. We'll be fine, just like it was fine when I paid for his surgery while Sierra was posting selfies from Paris. That was different. She needed to find herself. Yes, I remember. Now you need to find $50,000. She started crying. The sound used to devastate me, used to send me running to fix whatever problem she was facing. Now it just made me tired. We'll call Sierra, she said between sobs. She'll make this right. I laughed. Good luck with that. Her number's disconnected. This isn't you, Zlata. You're not this cruel. Actually, this is me. The real me. The one who's done being everyone's ATM. The line went quiet, except for her ragged breathing. Finally, she spoke in a whisper. What do you want? I want you to pay the debt you signed for. I want you to face consequences. I want you to feel what it's like to be responsible for once. We're your parents. Yes. And you taught me everything I know about family loyalty. I hung up and turned my phone off. Through my office window, I could see the city sprawling out below, people rushing about their days, dealing with their own dramas and betrayals. My computer pinged with a new email. From Sierra, sent from a new address. You controlling bitch. You always want to win. Happy now. Mum's hysterical, Dad's chest hurts, and it's all your fault. I never should have trusted you. You're dead to me. I forwarded it to Genesis with just 3 words. Worth every penny. Her response came quickly. Your sister's about to learn that karma takes Venmo. I opened my bottom drawer and pulled out an old photo, the last family vacation we'd taken together. Sierra in the center, as always, our parents beaming at her. Me on the edge, checkbook in hand, paying the hotel bill. My office door opened. It was my junior associate, looking nervous. Ms. Zlata? I need a favor. Could you co-sign on the Miller account? It's just a formality. I looked at him, then at the photo, then back at him. No, I said, I don't co-sign anything anymore. He blinked, surprised by my directness. But it's just a standard procedure. So is paying your own bills, I said, turning back to my computer. Try that first. As he left, I picked up my phone and turned it back on. 12 missed calls from my parents, 5 new emails from Sierra, 1 text from Genesis. How does it feel? I typed back. Like freedom. The collection agency didn't waste any time. 3 days after the clause activation, my mother showed up at my office unannounced, mascara streaking down her face. They're threatening to put a lien on our house, she said, dropping into the chair across from my desk. Your childhood home, Zlata. I kept typing, not looking up. The same house you remortgaged to pay for Sierra's art school? That childhood home? That was different. She had potential, and I didn't. I finally met her eyes. Is that why you took my college fund? We borrowed it, she said weakly. Borrowing implies returning. I pulled up an old spreadsheet. Would you like to see the exact amount with interest? My office phone buzzed. Ms. Islata, your 2 p.m. is here. Tell them 5 minutes. I turned back to my mother. The collection agency is actually being quite reasonable. They'll accept payment plans. On $50,000? She dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Probably another of Sierra's expensive gifts, bought with someone else's money. Your father can barely sleep. He keeps checking our accounts, trying to find money that isn't there. Like I did when he needed surgery? She flinched. That was years ago. Why are you still holding on to that? Because someone has to remember. Someone has to keep the receipts. My phone lit up with a text from Sierra. Mom's crying because of you, again. You're such a controlling bitch. You always want to win. Happy now? I showed the message to my mother. Your perfect daughter sends her regards. She's scared, my mother said. She's young. She's 27. I was 24 when I paid Dad's medical bills. But you're stronger. You can handle these things. I leaned back in my chair, letting her words hang in the air. That's interesting, Mother. Tell me more about how being taken advantage of makes me strong. She stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the floor. I didn't raise you to be this cruel. You didn't raise me at all. You were too busy enabling Sierra. We'll lose everything, she whispered. No, you'll lose what you put at risk when you signed that contract. There's a difference. What do you want from us? I finally smiled. I want you to experience consequences, just once. I want you to feel what it's like when no one comes to save you. My phone buzzed again, a video call from Sierra. I answered it, putting it on speaker. You evil witch. Sierra's face was red with rage. Mom just called me sobbing. How could you do this to them? The same way you did it to me, I replied calmly, except I used a contract instead of tears. We're family. Exactly. And this is what family does, remember? Behind Sierra, I could see Eric pacing, talking rapidly on his phone. He looked worried. Having visa troubles? I asked innocently. Sierra's eyes widened. How did you... It's amazing what happens when your credit score tanks and there's an international debt notice with your name on it. My mother gasped. You didn't. I didn't do anything. I said. Actions have consequences. Isn't that what you always told me, Mother? Right before asking me to fix another one of Sierra's mistakes? Sierra's face crumpled. They're going to revoke our visas. Eric's business deals are falling apart. Everything we built here, you built nothing, I cut in. You ran away from debt and responsibility, like you always do. The only difference is this time, there's no one to clean up your mess. Girls, my mother pleaded, we can fix this. Zlata, if you just pay... No. I stood up. My 2 p.m. is waiting. You both know where the door is. Please, Sierra sobbed. I'm your sister, and they're my parents. Funny how that only matters when you need something. I ended the call and turned to my mother. The collection agency's number is on the letter they sent you. I suggest you call them before they call you again. She walked to the door, then turned back. You'll regret this. Someday, when you need your family... I've needed my family many times, I said. Where were you? After she left, I sat in my quiet office, hands shaking slightly. My phone buzzed with a text from Genesis. Drinks tonight? You look like you need them. I typed back, bring wine and the contract. I want to frame it. Another text came through, this one from my father. We thought you wouldn't actually go through with it. I responded with a single line. That's always been your problem. Then I turned off my phone, straightened my desk, and called in my 2 p.m. After all, I had actual work to do. Bills don't pay themselves. Just ask my family. The forced family dinner was my mother's idea. Sunday dinner, like old times, she'd said on the phone, her voice dripping with false sweetness. We need to discuss this situation like adults. I arrived exactly on time to find my parents already seated at their dining room table. A spread of my favorite childhood dishes laid out like emotional ammunition. Your father made your favorite lasagna, my mother said, serving me a generous portion. Remember how you used to help him in the kitchen? I remember paying for his heart medication after making that lasagna, I replied, setting my fork down. Let's skip the nostalgia and get to the point. My father cleared his throat. The bank is being insistent. Banks tend to be that way about money. We've looked at our options, my mother cut in. We could sell the vacation property. The one I was supposed to inherit? I laughed. The one you remortgaged for Sierra's wedding? You're not being fair, my father said quietly. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. Let's talk about fair. Inside was a spreadsheet. Every dollar I'd given them over the years, meticulously documented with dates and reasons. Page 1, Dad's medical bills, $28,000. Page 2, Sierra's art school tuition, $40,000 of my college fund. Page 3, the down payment for Sierra's first car, $12,000. Should I continue? My mother pushed the folder away. We're not here to dwell on the past. No, you're here because the collection agency is drowning you in calls. We raised you, my father said. We gave you everything. You gave Sierra everything. I earned everything I have. My phone buzzed. A text from Genesis. How's the ambush going? Before I could respond, my mother reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Darling, please, we can fix this together for the family. The family. I pulled my hand away. Where was this family concern when I worked 2 jobs to pay for Dad's surgery while Sierra posted Instagram photos from Europe? She was finding herself, and now she's lost herself in another country with $50,000 of my money. My father stood up suddenly, his face red. We thought you wouldn't actually enforce the contract. We thought you'd understand that it was okay to take advantage of me. Again? That family protects each other, my mother interjected. I stood up, pushing my untouched plate away. Funny how that protection only goes one way. We'll lose the house, my father said quietly. Then sell the vacation property. But that was supposed to be your inheritance, my mother protested. My inheritance? I pulled up Sierra's latest Instagram post on my phone. Her and Eric on the beach of that same vacation property last summer. Like how I was supposed to inherit it last year before you let them stay there rent-free? My parents exchanged guilty looks. You knew, I said, realization dawning. You knew they were planning to leave the country. My mother's silence was answer enough. You helped them plan it, I continued. You thought I'd just… What? Pay off their debt like I've paid off everything else? You're stronger than Sierra, my father said weakly. You can handle these things. Not anymore. I grabbed my purse. Call the collection agency, set up a payment plan, sell whatever you need to sell. I'm done handling things. Zlata, please, my mother called after me. What will people think? I turned at the door. They'll think you're finally facing consequences. How does it feel? Outside, I sat in my car for a long moment, hands shaking on the steering wheel. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Eric using a new phone. Got your little message about the visa issues. Real cute, but you forgot something. I know things about your company, things that could hurt your career. Want to reconsider your position? I forwarded the message to Genesis with 3 words. Time for phase 2? Her response was immediate. Let's bury them. Back at home, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. In a folder labeled Insurance, I had copies of every questionable email Sierra and Eric had sent about their plans to default on the loan. Every conversation about fleeing the country. Every piece of evidence showing my parents' knowledge and compliance. I drafted a new email to the loan agency's fraud department. I have information regarding a premeditated loan default. My phone rang. My mother again. I declined the call and hit send on the email instead. Sometimes, I whispered to my empty apartment, the best family dinner is the last one. The anonymous tip took less than 24 hours to detonate. I was at my desk when Genesis burst into my office, her tablet displaying multiple social media feeds. It's happening, she said, turning the screen toward me. Someone leaked parts of the loan documentation to a financial whistleblower site. The story's going viral. Sierra's Instagram comments had exploded overnight. Her latest beach photo was flooded with responses. Must be nice to live luxury while running from debt. How do you sleep at night knowing your sister's paying for your lifestyle? Financial frauds living their best life. My phone buzzed. Eric again. What did you do? Our sponsors are pulling out. I typed back, I didn't do anything. The truth did. Another notification popped up. An email from my father. Subject line, we need to talk. I opened it. Meeting at the house, 7 p.m., come alone. Genesis read it over my shoulder. Trap? Obviously. I closed my laptop, but I'm going anyway. Want backup? No, it's time to finish this. The house looked smaller than I remembered, its shadows longer in the evening light. My father sat alone on the porch steps, looking older than his 61 years. Your mother's not here, he said as I approached. I asked her to let me handle this. Handle what? He pulled out a stack of papers. We found these in Sierra's old room. She left them behind when they ran. Email printouts, bank statements, text messages, a complete paper trail of their plan to take the money and run. You knew, I said quietly. You knew all along. We thought, he rubbed his face. We thought you wouldn't actually go through with the clause. You never go through with consequences. You always fix things. Not anymore. The collection agency called again. They're talking about fraud charges now. Criminal charges, Zlata. Actions have consequences. He looked up at me, eyes wet. She's your sister. And I'm your daughter. Did that ever matter? Silence stretched between us, heavy with decades of unspoken resentment. We got a call from Sierra an hour ago, he finally said. Their visas are being revoked. Eric's business partners are backing out. They're stranded. Karma's not very subtle, is it? Can't you stop this? I sat beside him on the steps, keeping careful distance. Remember when I was 16 and I wanted to go to that summer programming camp? He stared straight ahead. You said we couldn't afford it, But 2 months later, Sierra needed a new laptop for her photography hobby. Premium model, top of the line. Zlata, I'm not fixing this, I said, standing up. I'm not fixing anything ever again. My phone buzzed. A video call from Sierra. I answered it where my father could see. They're freezing our accounts. Sierra was crying, mascara running. Eric's partners are saying something about fraud investigations. What's happening? The truth is happening, I said calmly. How's that working out for you? We're stuck here. The embassy won't help. Our cards are declined. Sounds like a you problem. Dad, she wailed, seeing him in the frame. Tell her to stop this. He looked between us, lost. I don't know how. That's right, I said. For once, you don't know how to fix things for her. Interesting feeling, isn't it? Sierra's face contorted with rage. You evil, jealous. I ended the call. My father stood slowly, papers clutched in his trembling hands. What do you want from us? I want you to sit in this mess you helped create. I want you to feel what it's like when no one comes to save you. I want you to understand what you did to me all these years. We loved you. No, you used me. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. Genesis. The fraud department wants to schedule an interview. Ready for the final nail? I looked at my father, this broken man who had always chosen the path of least resistance, who had let my mother and sister drain me dry year after year. I have to go, I said. I have a meeting about fraud charges. Please, he whispered. We're family. I paused at my car. That stopped meaning anything the day you chose her over me for the last time. As I drove away, I watched him in my rearview mirror, still clutching those damning papers, standing alone in the growing darkness of the house, where I'd learned that blood means nothing when it's always flowing one way. The collection agency moved fast. Within a week, they began garnishing my parents' assets. I watched from my office as their vacation property listing went live, the same property I'd dreamed of inheriting, now priced for a quick sale. My mother showed up unannounced, makeup perfect despite her red-rimmed eyes. They're taking everything. Not everything, I said, not looking up from my computer. Just what you put at risk. Why are you doing this to us? I'm not doing anything. The contract is. She slammed her hand on my desk. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I met her eyes. Like you looked at me when I begged you not to take my college fund? That was different? Yes, you keep saying that, but it wasn't different. It was just another time you chose Sierra over me. My phone buzzed. An email from the fraud investigation team. Interview scheduled with Sierra and Eric via video conference. Your presence is requested. They're investigating Sierra for fraud, my mother whispered, reading over my shoulder. Our baby girl could go to jail. Should have thought about that before helping her plan an international loan default. She sank into the chair across from me. How did you become so cold? I learned from the best. I turned my screen to show her Sierra's latest social media post, a tearful video about being victimized by toxic family. She's scared, my mother said. She's manipulating. Again. But this time, it won't work. My phone rang. Genesis. Turn on the news, she said without greeting. Local business channel. I pulled up the live stream. There was Eric being escorted from a business meeting by security. The headline scrolled, Local startup founder under investigation for international fraud. My mother covered her mouth. Oh God. Actions, consequences, I said quietly. Funny how that works. They're stranded, she pleaded. Their visas are expired. Their accounts are frozen. Like my accounts were frozen after paying Dad's medical bills? When I had to eat ramen for 6 months while Sierra posted photos from Paris? The office door opened. My father walked in, looking defeated. The vacation house sold, he said. Below asking, but enough to cover part of the debt. Congratulations, I said. You're learning financial responsibility. Only took 61 years. Zlata, my mother tried again. We can still fix this. As a family, we were never a family, I cut in. We were a support system for Sierra. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. This is Eric. Please, we're desperate. The embassy won't help. Sierra's having panic attacks. Name your price. I showed the message to my parents. See? Now he wants to negotiate. Funny how that happens when the money runs out. What are you going to do? My father asked. I typed a response. My price? Everything you took plus interest, calculate it. I'll wait. They don't have that kind of money, my mother protested. Neither did I when you took my college fund. Neither did I when Dad needed surgery. Neither did I when Sierra needed bail money that one time. But somehow, I managed. My computer pinged. An email from the fraud investigators requesting additional documentation. I have a meeting to prepare for, I said, standing. You can see yourselves out. Wait, my father said. The house. They're talking about a lien. Then I guess you better start packing. My mother burst into tears. Real ones this time, not the manipulative sobs I'd grown up with. Why did you do this to us? She cried. I walked to the door and held it open. You did this to yourselves. I just put it in writing. After they left, I sat back down and opened my email. Sierra had sent a long, rambling apology, the kind she always wrote when she needed something. I deleted it without reading. Genesis appeared in my doorway. Ready for the fraud interview tomorrow? Ready to end this? I said. They're your family, she reminded me gently. No, I replied, pulling up the final piece of evidence, photos of my parents helping Sierra pack for her escape, dated 2 days before the wedding. They're just people who share my DNA. Family would never have done this. My phone lit up one last time, a text from Sierra. I'm sorry, I mean it this time. Please help us. I typed back 6 words. Sorry doesn't pay back $50,000. Then I turned off my phone, opened the fraud investigation files, and began preparing my statement. Tomorrow would be the final nail, the one that would seal not just their fate, but the coffin on every family tie that had ever bound me to their manipulation. It was time to end this story, on my terms. The beach was empty except for me and the seagulls. I sat on the sand, reading the final notice from the collection agency. Debt resolved through asset liquidation. Case closed. My phone buzzed, Genesis sending me a news article. Local couple detained at border attempting illegal re-entry. I smiled. Sierra and Eric had tried sneaking back into the country through Mexico. It hadn't gone well. Another buzz. My mother. They're holding them for questioning. Please help. I typed back. New phone? Who's this? The wind picked up, carrying away her next 3 messages before I could read them. I didn't bother retrieving them from the sand. My laptop chimed with an email from the fraud investigators. Thank you for your cooperation. Charges have been filed. Good, I whispered to the waves. A shadow fell across my screen. I looked up to find my father standing there, looking lost in his now too large suit. The house sold, he said, sitting heavily in the sand beside me. We're moving into an apartment next week. Downsizing can be healthy. Your mother, he paused. She's not handling it well. And nothing. He picked up a handful of sand, let it slip through his fingers. I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm here to say you were right. I closed my laptop. About? Everything. We failed you. We let Sierra drain you dry. His voice cracked. We weren't parents to you. We were enablers to her. Took you long enough to notice. I saw the spreadsheet, he continued. The one with all the money you gave us over the years. Did you know the total equals almost exactly what your mother and I lost in assets? Karma's good at math. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This was in Sierra's old room. It's addressed to you, dated the day before the wedding. I opened it. Inside was a note in Sierra's handwriting. Dear Zlata, by the time you read this, we'll be gone. Thanks for being such a reliable ATM all these years. Don't worry, Mom and Dad will guilt you into fixing this too. They always do. Love, Sierra. She never saw you as a sister, my father said quietly, and we never saw you as a daughter. We saw you as a solution. I folded the note carefully. And now we see you as someone we lost through our own actions. He stood up, brushing sand from his pants. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just saying you were right to do what you did. My phone buzzed again. Genesis. Holy shit. Sierra and Eric are facing federal charges. Your parents' statement sealed it. I looked up at my father. You testified against them? We told the truth, he said simply. Finally. He turned to leave, then stopped. That spreadsheet, the total you gave us over the years, would have bought this beach house, I finished, gesturing to the luxury property behind us. The one I just closed on this morning. His eyes widened slightly. You bought the vacation house you had to sell? Yes. At below market value, thanks to the urgent sale requirement. I stood up, brushing sand from my legs. Funny how things come full circle. He nodded once, understanding the finality of it all, and walked away. I watched him disappear down the beach, a smaller man than I'd ever seen him. My phone lit up with a video call, Sierra from a detention center. I answered it. They're charging us with fraud, she sobbed. Mom and Dad testified. How could they? How could you leave me with $50,000 in debt? That's different. We're family. Not anymore. I held up my house keys. Remember this view? The beach house you love so much? It's mine now, legally, permanently, and you're never stepping foot in it. You bitch! I ended the call and blocked the number. Genesis appeared at the top of the beach stairs, carrying 2 champagne glasses. Ready to christen the new house? Almost. I pulled up my banking app and looked at my accounts. All in the black, all in my name only. No co-signers, no family loans, no guilt. To karma, Genesis said, handing me a glass. To contracts, I corrected, but then smiled. And to finally choosing myself. We clinked glasses as the sun set over my new beach house, painting everything in shades of justice. My phone stayed silent. No more family emergencies, no more guilt trips, no more manipulation. Just peace, property in my name, and the sound of waves washing everything clean. Sometimes revenge doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers in legal documents and property deeds. Sometimes it looks like finally closing the door on the people who never saw you as anything but a solution to their problems. And sometimes it feels exactly like freedom,